Hey, we're talking about psychedelic sex, vabbing, love potions, and why evangelical men cheat more. Yeah, apparently it's a true story. Your morning routine just got a little more entertaining. It's time to get up. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where
when something negative comes up.
Building muscle improves blood flow.
From squirting to squirreling.
Start small, build up, and expand from there.
To be entertained by fun over here.
How have I slept? Has my sleep been good? That's
Yeah, baby, good morning! Welcome back to Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. Yeah, here we go. On today's episode, we're just dancing. You guys still like the new tunes? I do. We've got real talk and motivating content. We are your morning momentum experience. Hey, good morning, Adam Holroyd, the OG member. I love having you in the comments. Adam, I wake up, I know you're going to be there, and I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that so much. This morning on the show, we're going to unpack some new insights on why men cheat. What? Yeah, apparently evangelical men cheat more. I'm just telling you what I read. The surprising science behind intimacy, the secrets to ditching toxic productivity, and a live morning show conversation about building a life that wins. Good morning, Lady Drew Boger. Good to have you in the comments as well. Love seeing your name in the comments as well. Our big two OG members. Yeah, you love the music. I love the music too, Lady Drew. Boom, boom. We're getting after it every single day on Suno. Jimmy, is it Suno or Sumo? Hold on. I got to do a quick little look here. It's actually Suno, even though I call it Sumo. Oh, here we go. There we go. All right. Get ready today for some great guest interviews and informative conversations. Jimmy, I think they're always informative. I think they always are. Josh Kalinowski is here with his blueprint for success from the Rockies to real estate, and Eric Koester joins us on how he's helped 10,000 authors. Jimmy, is there actually 10,000 authors out there that are making books? I think there's actually a fucking million authors. Oh, by the way, this is an R-rated experience. Yes, we do drop F-bombs, B-bombs, S-bombs. I've learned a bunch of bad words since I started hanging out with Matthew Roof. Oh, who's Matthew Roof? He's a new business development guy here in the lab. Yeah, he was a guest on the show a few weeks back, and now he just won't go away. He just, Keith, I want to be part of the mission. I want to sell. I want to be a part of the whole thing. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So Roofy is here helping us build the biggest morning show for men, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. Guys, we're going to get into weather, vabbing. Roofy, Johnny, vabbing. You think vabbing's a love potion or a placebo? The art of graceful interruptions. We're going to talk about that with AJ Zeglen. And the latest on how psychedelics are changing sex lives. There's another true story. We're not talking White Lotus here today. And yeah, we got Jimmy coming in with, I think that's only for the real best-selling authors. Yes, if you're a best-selling author, you are absolutely welcome on the show so we can tease the fuck out of you. Before we dive in, smash the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. This is an R-rated show. And guys, don't hit that snooze button. You hit the snooze button, you're going to be 9 minutes behind. Speaking of snooze buttons, speaking of someday, I invite you guys to check out the post we dropped on LinkedIn today. We found it. Johnny, we found someday on the calendar. True story. We made a big post about it, and Uncle Keith here is giving you guys advice to get after it, and the post is up live on LinkedIn today. We have found the mysterious someday in the calendar. Jimmy, let's bring up Johnny. Let's get the show on the road. What's up, pal? How are you, buddy?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm awesome today.
Am I fuzzy again here?
Fuzzy Johnny is here this morning.
There we go.
Dude, I'm great, man. Another great sleep last night. I know we've been talking about this, but I've been focusing on my sleep. I had a wonderful sleep last night, and I'm feeling great today. got a good 7.5 hours in, and I'm just making it a mission. Just making it a mission.
You know what? I've been doing. Check this out. It's funny you say that because the last couple of days, I've actually had. So a lot of times, what I'll do is if I have a little bit of time for my bedtime, I'll go and lay on the couch and learn something from YouTube.
Sure.
Right? And if I let myself fall asleep, like when I wake up on the couch, when I go into my bedroom, I do not fall asleep well, and my night is inhibited. If I catch myself before I go into a slumber and go into back to bed, in the last 2 nights, I've actually caught it and got in there in time. The night before, I was late, and I can, so what I do, here's what I do. I hold the controller. As soon as that thing hits the ground, that means I've started to fall. Boom, I get up and I go.
Good. So there's a habit stack right there. You lay down the trigger.
Because if I lay it on my chest, I fucking wake up, like, what was that? Who knows what time it might be, Well,
I shared with you last week, I fucking was looking at my phone in bed, and all of a sudden the phone fell on my face because it just dropped same thing, right? You're like, oh, what the hell is going on here?
So hold the controller, just hold it, and you can hold it anywhere as long as it's not sitting on you. Because what'll happen is you start to fall asleep, your hand will loosen, that thing will hit the ground, it'll wake you up, boom, go to bed.
It's yesterday we were talking about how, we were talking yesterday, Johnny, about how dopamine levels spike when we you love learning. I get really, when I get to learn something, I get all nerdy and I get all excited and my dopamine just spikes and everything. So,
I thought about that. I was thinking about that. What is it that spikes mine? I think creating, but we could probably put that into learning though. They're probably 100%. Like, twins. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. So let me share you the ultimate nerdy experience of Uncle Keith going to bed last night. I was unwinding and I was all excited and I was like, oh, hey, I got a proposal I have to write for somebody that's interested in maybe being a sponsor and a partner in the show. And I was all excited, Johnny. So guess what I did? I went and laid in bed and I talked to my agents and they wrote the proposal for me while I was laying in bed. Because I was so excited to be a nerd. Like I was laying there and I just was going between my agents on my phones using Manus and ChatGPT and all the different ones. And they just, by the time I went to bed, the proposal was done. True story. There you go. Just good old magical work while I was, and dude, I was so happy. And so some people like, turn your phone off. No, I was learning. I was creating. I was embracing. And it felt so good, man. In such a nerdy way, man. I'm telling you right now.
Dude, let me ask you a question about this stuff because you're kind of like you're my advisor for chat. So I spent time letting it get to know me. I can say who am I? It'll tell me who I am, what I've done. But then when I give it instructions, like I'll have it make me like an image with a quote. Like I have a quote. I don't know if you see my social media. It's like it's just a black image with a quote. Some just kind of get people. Like I'll say, like if you think you're too busy, you think like an average man, something like that. Just real basic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I give it a tempo. Okay, I want a black background. I want my handle at the top. I want my signature at the bottom. I give it the whole thing. Update your memory, please. Okay, it's updated.
Yeah.
I come back the next day. Are you ready to make, and I call it a black image with proper Jon Andersen branding. Are you ready? Is your memory updated? Yes, it is. Fucking thing does it wrong almost every time. Like Jesus, and I say to listen, we just updated your memory. What do I need to say to get this to be a permanent? Oh, you're so correct. I'll make it a permanent up fucking tomorrow. It's like a kid that wants to piss me off.
I would make sure your slider is on your. It probably is, but I just make sure your slider is on inside the memory prompt there inside of ChatGPT.
What does that mean?
There's a memory slider inside your settings, which will turn on unlimited memory. I swear it's probably there. So just make sure it's there. Oh, hang on. So listen, I got a quick digression here. One of the big LinkedIn posters out there is posting a big viral, perhaps a viral trend about passing a box across the internet. And there, Alex, I got the box, brother. I'm going to toss it back to you. Here it goes, Alex.
Dude, that was pretty good. Who threw that to you? That was good.
Come here. I'll show you who popped into the camera.
That was good, dude. That was good. That was good.
What's up?
What's up, brother? I love it. I love it.
So we did there's a fun video thing happening online here, and Melissa and the team are like, we got to do a video. I'm like, fuck, I don't know when I'm going to fit it into my time. I said, Carts, get your ass out of the gym and come throw me a box over the camera.
Is that the video? Somebody throwing a box
right
to you?
There, yeah, we just did a video. Yeah, I'll drop it in your feed here today too, so you can participate as well. It'll be I think it'll be pretty fun. Hey, before we got Josh Kalinowski, JK joining us in the lab here in a couple of minutes. Johnny, I found it. Listen. I was thinking about Keith and Johnny yesterday. Yep, I was thinking about Keith and Johnny driving down the old 57 Chev with the just married car things hanging behind there, and you and I just hand in hand driving. And I was thinking about you.
Hold on, that we just got married. That's what you.
And I was thinking about you telling ridiculous stories about your buddy Keith, who brings these stupid stories to the show on a regular basis. And I got one today for you that I can't wait to share with you. Have you ever
was this a dream you're talking about?
No, it's just my imagination.
Oh, I was gonna say, dude, that's a fucking weird shit, man. You got a fucking crazy shit going on here.
Have you ever thought about using your own natural scent to attract a partner, Johnny? Well, apparently, vabbing is the latest trend that's gone viral, claiming your body's pheromones can boost attraction. Today, we're going to unravel the truth behind.
So I understand, like
that. I'm going to tell you what vabbing is.
No, I want to make sure I'm understanding this as VA, like VAB, VAB. I want to make sure I'm understanding the word. Yeah,
vabbing.
Okay.
Yeah, vabbing. Yeah. So vabbing is essentially taking the body's pheromones and bottling them up and rubbing all over yourself. And vabbing has originated from the female vagina. So
well. I mean, it's so like I'm trying to think of like, isn't like with a dog you have like a pheromone, right?
Yes.
Well,
so
makes sense.
Imagine our partners or females out at the clubs or the bars rubbing their vaginal scent all over themselves, vabbing, to attract you or me or men around them.
Well, I would want to call this vagging, not vabbing.
Well, apparently vabbing is a thing. So animals use pheromones effectively, humans not so clear. But there's some studies that indicate that subtle brain responses, attract ourselves to this. So, there's the pheromone theory where these scents, drive us in. But then there's psychological research that suggests that perceived attraction might stem from boosted self-confidence, not actual pheromones. But there's a massive trend happening right now on TikTok where females are using their vaginal fluids to create pheromones on their body before they go out in public to attract the other sex.
Interesting.
I'm just telling you.
No, bro. Listen, this is. I mean, this is definitely. I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you break it down to straight up, because we're basically just part of nature.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Well, and the other thing too is, I want to move from vabbing to psychedelics. You ever wondered if psychedelics can enhance your intimacy or reignite your connection? Today, there's some. Yeah, today there's some absolute research, and more of this is happening every single day around psilocybin, LSD, and MDMA are transforming sexual experiences and deepening.
They used to prescribe this stuff.
Yeah, deepening relationships. Studies are showing increased arousal, enjoyment, and attraction lasting weeks to months after a psychedelic experience. Johnny, I've never done a psychedelic experience. I'm curious about it, very, very curious about it, actually. But I have never, listen, when I was growing up, I did some crazy shit with acid and shit. I'm just a young rocker, but not now.
I got, without getting too detailed.
Yeah.
And keeping the innocent, like what's the word I'm looking for? Keep not exposing the innocent.
Yeah.
What
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So just think of it like this: is that as human beings, we have all of these different layers of, call it like different layers of protection or different layers of insecurity, right? And if you could somehow like snap your fingers or push a button, strip all that away, and you could actually just be with that other human being without all those layers.
Yes. Oh, I know. That's absolutely does. Yeah, absolutely does. I want to have more conversations around psychedelics, and maybe we'll have some experts on the show here coming up. Speaking of experts, Johnny, the show's for men. but we have been expanding the guest list. And I'm going to tell you, brother, I think we're going to start having some females wandering through the lab here.
There should be 100%. Just because it's for men doesn't mean that females aren't a part of what men want. For sure.
Let me tell you, we've been reaching into the banals. There's that word, Johnny. The banals of research of finding females
into the vabbing.
Yeah, the vaginal areas of the world, whatever the hell that means. Dude, we have found some wonderful guests in the dating industry. Women that wake up every single day helping men find a partner. So I got some guests coming up in the next few weeks, some attractive females that are out there looking for other men to help other men get sorted out.
Brother, think like this. This is like, and it's crazy that people don't understand this, but think like this: the partner that you select,
yes,
that you're gonna stay with. You know, let's just say you're going to select a partner and you're going to be with that person for 20, 30, 40, even if it doesn't work out, maybe just 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. At least a decade. The selection process has probably one of the biggest abilities to make or break your happiness in your life.
No question about it. And I don't
Why
think
in the hell do people not get help with this selection process? We get help with fucking selecting a goddamn car, which has very little ability to fucking change our happiness. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I'll tell you what I mean. What happens, Johnny, when a former pro baseball player gets tired of waiting for life to happen? You know what he does? He builds an empire with a locker room in the office. In a couple of moments, Johnny, we're going to meet the man who turned the minor leagues into major legacy moves. Apparently, Johnny, we got a baseball player hanging out with us this morning. Yeah, let's do the accountability check, and we're going to welcome in Josh Kalinowski from the Rockies to real estate. Josh's blueprint for building a life that wins. I'm suspecting that when Kalinowski got up this morning, Johnny, he had no idea what the hell he was stepping into. Well, he knows now. He's stepping into mornings in the lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show for men to get their ass out of bed every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, and Substack as well. This is our accountability check-in. Mental clutter is a choice. Is it really, though? Yeah. That thing you said you deal with, it's still open. You're like, oh, yeah, it's just still, I'm doing it. That decision you keep postponing, you're still spinning. You're not making it. You're procrastinating. That conversation you're avoiding, it's just still lingering out there. It's not the workload that's draining you. It's the tabs you've left open in your mind. Think about that. Think about that. And here's the cost with those tabs open. You feel tired because indecision eats energy. You can't focus because your brain's buffering. You're scattered because your mind is constantly in overdrive. Guys, mental clutter is real. I'm telling you, but I'll say it again. It's a choice. You're not busy. You're choosing to be busy. Here's how you clear your mind. Pick 3 thoughts that keep popping up and don't overthink them. Just pick right now. Label it clearly. Label it. This is the conversation I've been avoiding, and get after it. Be very specific. Decide what done looks like. Schedule the thing, not someday. Pick a day. Don't pick one day in the week. I'm going to do it next week. What day is it? What time is it? When are you going to do it? Send the email. Say no. Then do it within the next 24 hours. Because when your mind is clear, you stop. You stop snapping at your team. You stop snapping at your family. You remember what matters, and you finally finish what you start. So guys, as you get your day started without hitting that snooze button, pick a few tasks on that list and get after them. You put them off, they're going to be there next week, next month. They're going to be there someday. All right, Jimmy, let's keep rolling, brother. Listen, guys, just a reminder, Mornings in Lime has now a membership experience. We got 3 levels of membership. I think it's $3, $10, and $20. It's not here to line Keith and Johnny's pockets, baby. No, it's here to build the show, to reinvest in the show, and keep building the biggest morning show for men. All right, we're coming back with a former pro athlete, a current CEO of a powerhouse holding company. Powerhouse holding company. Yeah, there you go. A powerhouse holding company. And a father of 4 who somehow still finds time to cold plunge like a maniac. This guy cold plunges? Jimmy, who invited the cold plunger on the show? He runs real estate, roofing, solar, and spa companies out of a single building. That includes a locker room. But more than a business, Josh Kalinowski is here to talk about purpose. Not the one you chase, the one you create. So if you've ever felt like life's best years are behind you, Josh is here to prove that it's not. Jimmy, let's bring him up. Let's bring up Kalinowski into the lab, and let's welcome him into Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. What's up, JK?
Keith, good morning, my man. How are you?
How are you, brother? I'm fantastic. Thanks for. Are you in Colorado this morning?
Wyoming. I'm just above you.
Nicely. There you go. Yeah, nicely done. How are you today? What's going on with Shaken? How's the weather? Thanks for getting up early today with us today. Yeah,
man. I tell you what, Thursdays are always a good day for me to get up early. So I've got a meeting from 5 to 6 already. So we're midstream right now, man. So this is good.
So what? Why Thursday? It was just random Thursday. Just what do you take every other day? I sleep in. I'm lazy. Thursdays are my day of meetings, Keith. No, what's up with Thursday, brother?
I know. So listen, hey, and it's kind of towards the end of the week, right?
Yeah.
I think Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays you push hard. You get all the meetings in and stuff like that. So you got to refill the cup. So I get up extra early on Thursdays just to make sure that the cup is overflowing again, because usually it's drained by then. So I'm doing a lot of internal work on myself on Thursdays, and so. The fact that I was able to have an hour before this show to make sure that I was ready for the energy that both of you guys are bringing. Perfect. So
I love that. So Josh,
what's up, brother? Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, Josh, John, Josh. Josh, so you're former ball player. When did you retire from ball?
Oh man, my last year was a few years ago. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you how many years ago.
All right, so we'll leave that off the table. Let's go to today. I'm curious about this one because we talk about it often. Guys, in the pro sports world, go from structure, to waking up on Monday going, oh, where did it all go? So I ask you the question: what's your morning routine look like now, and how did you adapt when you got out of all that structure, Josh?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is it's not necessarily always about, it's structure for sure, but it's also being around excellence. I think those are the two biggest things that when you get into life and normality, is you lose both of those essences, right? You don't know what your structure looks like, but then you're not around the excellence of other people that are striving for something better and greater in their life. And so that's really, really challenging. As I've gotten older in life, and John, you can appreciate this. I've listened to a couple of your guys' podcasts, by the way. So I love where your head is at with health and fitness and wellness. But it's so important as we grow older as men to recognize what season of life we're in. And so the things that I was doing in my 20s that were filling my cup and making sure that I was ready and optimal for that day are completely different than what I'm doing in my 40s now. And so I've really got to look at what is it that is either draining me or replenishing me. And so my morning routines, even from year to year, have changed. So right now it's definitely a different picture. Yeah, John.
Yeah, no, that's good shit, brother. I mean, I was just gonna say, for everybody listening, you got to understand when somebody. Obviously, we got a professional baseball player here. Sorry, my thing is all still focusing on my mic. Maybe it's better now. Anyway, the habits that our man here created for himself to be an elite athlete were transferable to his business life, transferable to his family life. So all he did was take the skill set, the habits, the way of life, and just reapply. Granted, he said when he got out of that first venture, now he had to kind of reconstruct how he was going to do it, but those habits are there. He just had to kind of reattach them to new shit. And I think if you guys just realize that when you develop habits for whatever, those habits are transferable, and you have to understand that. And I think so many people don't get that. You make a good habit, you can point that thing at whatever you want.
You know what I find funny, Josh? You made a comment about how you were living your life differently in the 20s and you live your life in the 40s. And I think all of us men go through that. But in that journey, we somehow forget about one thing that doesn't change until we look in the mirror at our gut and our ass. And it's how we eat. And what I say to that is that as a 20-year-old, we're up there crushing the shitty cereal, the shitty food, the peanut butter sandwiches, the craft dinner.
Don't include me in that dumb statement, brother.
I know, Anderson. All the goofy food that young men, grow up eating and so forth, right? It's the normal men, right? And then we get to our 30s and we're 40s and we're still making those shitty choices. And I bring it up because we don't really talk about it. You know what I mean by that, Josh? Is that it's just like, oh yeah, well, I've just been eating that my whole life. Well, no, that's your fucking problem.
Yeah.
right? We make other changes in our life, but we're still eating the crappy food. So I bring that up because I like how you pointed it out, because I know we don't, that's not the obvious thing, but that is obviously something that, obviously has a major impact on our lives, is the way we eat. And we got to change the way we eat as we get older.
Right. Well, and I think that we changed the way that we think about food as well too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you guys are very much in tune with what's going on with our foods right now, the processed foods and all the chemicals and the things that they're putting into our foods. It's amazing that we actually have the red dyes getting out of a lot of our foods as well too, which is great. Right. But I will tell you a really quick hack for all the men that are listening to this. One of the things that really changed my perspective on food is when I had this idea, this concept. It was a really great friend of mine. He's a trainer in California. He trains athletes. He trains special forces. Yeah. And he says there's only two things when you think about food that you need to be at top of mind of. Either you're eating for recovery or you're eating for energy. And when I had that concept of like, I'm either eating for energy or I'm eating for recovery, dude, that changed
purpose,
everything.
not pleasure. Purpose, not pleasure. We're taught to eat for pleasure. Like, I don't like that. Well, who gives a shit what you don't like? What is your body like?
Yes.
100%. People say, what do you like to eat? I say, I don't eat what I like to eat. I eat what my body likes to eat. Because if I eat what I like to eat, I fucking feel terrible. I can watch my tits grow. We're allowed to say, oh, I don't like that. Well, who fucking cares? Eat it. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Josh, you spent time as a pro athlete, and I've been fortunate to have a number of pro athletes go through my world and on a personal level and professional level that have moved their way into the world of business. Mm-hmm. I'm really curious from your point of view, how did your time as a pro athlete, shape the mindset that you use every single day now as a CEO?
Yeah.
Good
question.
Well, I'll tell you what, that has been some self-discovery that's taken me years to figure out. When the jersey came off, so did my identity. Everything that I thought I was.
Right.
And real quick, brother, how many years did you play high-level baseball so everybody kind of understands?
Yeah, I played for just about 11 years.
Oh, good for you. Okay, yeah.
Which is a long time at a high level.
It is a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And as when you think that that's your purpose, when you think that that's like your God-given talent, when you think that like that's the thing you're supposed to do, it's devastating for many of us, and I've got a lot of great friends that are in the military that served the country for a lot of years. And when they get out of the military, once again, they get into normal civilian life. And it's like, well, one, I'm not around excellence anymore. And two, I don't have a mission.
Yes.
Right? And so I said, so for me, that's exactly what ended up happening is when I retired from the game, and it wasn't because I was prepared for that. I just needed to do that from injuries, but I retired from the game. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, what that purpose was like. And so, it was many years of discovering what my potential in the moment is. And that's, I think, what really shifted is that I was used to excellence. I was used to performing at a very high level. I was used to demanding more out of myself. And I had to figure out, like, in this moment, this chapter of my life, what is it that I can be exceptional in again? What is it that I can do with excellence again? And then instead of searching for purpose, which I think is a big mistake that we end up trying to do, is I started searching for my potential in this moment, this season of life. How good can I be in this season right now? Because in reflection, then I can look at my purpose in that season, right? I don't think we're going to be able to discover our purpose until we're older in our life, and we actually we look back and we see all the things that happened in our life.
So I want to lean in here. I'm intrigued by this. So, because it's got to be honest with you, one of the things that drew me to you and invited you to the show is your content on your feed. You make great content. I love what you stand for. But, the question I had for you was, what do you mean when you say people should stop searching for their purpose? Keith and Johnny, we talk about it every single day. And I like how you've changed the P word to potential.
Yeah.
Because what you're inviting somebody to say is, there's no limits on potential. And I'm thinking what you're saying is if you can keep chasing or searching for your potential, I believe what you're saying is your purpose is going to come out of that. Am I correct, Josh?
Yeah. Because so look at this. Every one of us our lives evolve. The things that are important to us right now are not the things that are going to be important to us in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of men out there, they haven't found, like, let's just say that you're a young man, you haven't found your wife yet, or maybe you have your wife, but you don't have children yet, right? So you don't know exactly what your purpose is in this moment, but you can most certainly find what that potential is in this moment. right? And let's just say that something devastating happens. Let's just say that you go through a divorce, or that you go through a job loss, or you lose a child, right? I mean, there's like hard shit happens all the time.
Yes.
Well, if your purpose is tied to that thing that you have lost, you have no purpose now. And that's what people get devastated by. They have no purpose because it's no longer there, right?
Because it's been yanked away from them. So, for example, in your world, your purpose was to be the best baseball player you obviously could be. Yeah. Friday, you retired. Monday, you woke up. You're like, interesting. So what you're saying is if you flipped the script to potential, and as you were growing up as a baseball player, racing towards potential, when Friday ended, Monday came, you're still chasing your potential, Josh.
Yeah, 100%. And
I like that switch, brother.
Well, would it also be kind of like a little bit of a roadmap to your purpose? Because usually your purpose you're going to be really fucking good at, because that's when you find something, like when you're really serving your purpose, it's something you're good. And if you're looking for your potential, it's almost like the start of the proper direction to find your purpose. Would you say that?
Yeah, 100%. Now, like I said, I think there are people that definitely know what their purpose is.
Yes.
And I'm not taking away from that.
Yes.
But like so I have 4 kids. We talked about this earlier. I have four kids, 2 boys. One's turning 18 right now. He's going into his senior year of high school.
Yeah.
So excited for this time in his life, right? It's
so is mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So going into this, young manhood, right? And I would not want him to know his purpose right now. But I want him to find out and discover his potential, right? His potential in this season of his life. Let's go chase that, because your purpose is going to change, man. The things and priorities of life in your 20s is so different than in his life in your 40s and your 50s and beyond, right? So we talk about potential all the time with our children.
Andersen, this is the gift of the show, brother. Hold on a second, John. This is the gift of the show, Johnny. You and I are so fortunate to meet so many smart human beings every single day. And every single day, every now and then, one just drops a nugget that makes your brain go, oh. And I got to tell you right now, it's happening to me right now. Like, I feel like I'm wanting to lean towards Kalinowski because he's changing my perspective of a P word. And I'm thinking of Carter, because he's absolutely right. If Carter's chasing his purpose right now, I'm going to invite him to start thinking about the potential. I love that, Josh, because I like, because they're linked together, but I like that. Perhaps I'm now thinking that potential goes before purpose. Because if you're chasing your potential, you're going to get to your purpose. And then when you reach that, it's going to happen again.
And there's a discovery phase too. You're like, let's just say as an athlete, if you're 4'11", you probably shouldn't be in pursuit of going to the NBA.
Oh, fuck, I'm out of here. See you guys.
But because that potential, this is a very surface level. That potential is very minimized. But like in baseball, as long as you can hit the ball, they don't give a shit if you're 2 feet tall. Isn't that correct, brother?
Right.
So to actually go down the path where the potential is, I think that's ultimately, you're saying that's the starting point to find it, which I think that's, early on with like my little girls, I said, look, you just need to just try different things.
Yeah.
Because you're going to discover something that's really going to light your fire. And that's where you put your energy. And that's kind of what it's like, my version of what you're saying about. Kind of correct, brother?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and how many times have, like, the whole goal of finding potential in our life, or even purpose to a certain point, is that we want to figure out what the end game is, right? We want to go to see where the achievement is, right? And I just love the idea of potential in the sense, because right now I can actually go and accomplish that potential. I can go after something personally right now, and I can actually get wins. I can actually see the fruits of that. The purpose, once again, I feel so much of that purpose is in reflection of the years that I've served, in reflection of the years that I've sacrificed, in the reflection of all of the things that have happened. And how many times in our life where, Keith, Judge, you guys know this, right? You look back at your life and you go like, why did I have to go through that crap? Why did those bad things have to happen? Well, then when you reflect on it and you look at it and you go, why did I do that? Because this is the person I am now, or these are the doors that open now, or these are the things that happen. You don't know in the moment. It's all in reflection of that.
You can't connect the dots when you're moving forward, only when you glance back. And anybody who looks back and feels like they're a victim is fucking missing the boat, because all 100%. Of those fucking challenges is what made you who you are today. And you can say, boy, that happened, and because that happened to me, now I really kick ass doing this. Or you could say that happened to me, that's why I'm pathetic. Yep. And you can choose if you want the victim mentality, or if you want the I'm going to go crush the fucking world mentality. Amen. And the harder things we experience, the better we get. the more potential we end up having. You know, and I love it, brother.
Yeah. You're hanging out with Keith and John here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends and producer Jimmy and our guest, Josh Kalinowski, joining us here this morning. We're talking purpose and potential. And Rick Clody comes in with Shake. And Rick, good to see you in the comments this morning, brother. Rick, meet Josh. Josh, meet Rick. You guys need to meet each other in the LinkedIn platform. Kalinowski, Rick Clody is a solid dude doing some great things out there. And clearly, Rick, as we get to know Josh, we're getting some nuggets from Josh as well. Josh, one of the things that shows up in your LinkedIn profile as well, and one of the things I've been learning through your content is that you talk a lot about building a life where people win. Mm-hmm. Now, we went through an era where Charlie Sheen talked about winning left and just time and time again. And I said that with Jess a couple years back. But Josh, when you talk about winning, what does winning actually look like when you frame that word out, when you talk to your kids, you talk to your employees? What does winning mean to you, Josh, when it comes to winning in life?
Yeah, well, how many of us as men are searching for like joy and happiness and fulfillment? Like, I think we're all looking for that, right? We're looking for joy. We're looking for happiness. I think if there's one characteristic that most men do not embody, it's the joy. It's the happiness. Because we're either, especially driven men, we're always having these massive, big goals. And I think I'm a huge fan of BHAGs, right? Big, hairy, audacious.
That's what we do here on the show, Josh. Yeah, right? That's exactly it.
And so I think that winning looks like where you can be in the moment, going after the biggest goals that you've ever wanted to accomplish and enjoying the journey as you go, right? Yes. I think there's a fallacy in this idea, and I'm going to throw some different concepts out here, right? So we talk about purpose and potential, but I really truly believe, like, people tell you that you can't buy happiness, and I'm going to tell you that I think that you can buy happiness. You can't buy joy. Let's define this a little bit differently, right?
Yes.
You can't buy joy.
I agree with you.
But you can buy happiness.
Yes.
And I'll prove it all the time. Like, if I go take my two daughters out to ice cream and help and let them get whatever type of ice cream that they want with as many types of toppings as they want, they are so happy. And guess what?
Yes.
I am happy. I just bought happiness in my life for the next hour, right?
Yes.
If you can buy it, you can buy happiness. So I think that as men, especially as we are high achieving men, we have to look for those moments where we can buy happiness, but also right there, it leads into the joy of life. When we are in pursuit of something great, I think one of the challenges that men face nowadays too, is that they are not in pursuit of better and bigger things in their lives. They have kind of just gotten comfortable with life. They've started to become the couch potato in their life. They're not in pursuit of greatness anymore. When you can do that, you feel like you're winning. You're playing offense in life. We're not playing defense anymore, right? Those dreams are not over anymore. I mean, in the back of my ground, there's two big pictures right there, right?
Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
Okay, that right there is pure joy. That right there is me at the end of this big journey that we had. The one over there is us at the very top of the Grand Tetons up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Okay. I would never have climbed a 14,000 foot freaking mountain with anybody, except I found three other guys that are as crazy as I am to be able to go and do this thing right there. That right there is joy and happiness on a mountain that I never thought that we'd ever be able to accomplish right there. That's winning right there. Both of those things that's winning because we're at the top, and that's winning because we're at the bottom celebrating it. That's what more men need to do.
This is awesome.
I love this. And you know what? On this whole concept of happiness and joy, so few people understand this. I love it. I love it. One of the things that I try to do myself is as I look at I'm very scheduled. I know what I'm going to be doing for the day. And part of it is because I'm envisioning my day, and I've already premeditated the joy I'm going to have with my tasks for the day. Mm-hmm. I'm going to lay my head down at the end of the day, and my head's going to hit the pillow, and I'm going to feel amazing because I enjoyed my day. I found the joy in the tasks of my day. I'm looking forward to working on the things I'm working on. And it's so simple if you understand and you actually put some effort into finding, because you can find joy in taking out the trash if you work hard enough.
Sure.
To find it.
Yeah. Got Rick Clody coming in with men are built to pursue greatness and BHAGs. No purpose equals no joy. We're coming up to the 40-minute mark with Josh. We kept you overtime. You're good, brother? You're good with your time?
I am, brother. Thanks.
I'm loving this, man. You are dropping nuggets. This is awesome. So I want to flip the script on you. So what's the time, Josh, that you thought you were losing? Maybe it was going up the mountains behind you, but it turned out that it actually became your biggest win. So reframing it in the moment, you're going after it. You go, oh my God, I'm losing right now. I'm losing. But then when it was all over, Josh, it was the biggest win. Share that with us.
Yeah. Man, there's been a lot of them as an entrepreneur, man.
Yes.
I like to tell you that some days I'm eating Captain Crunch, which is amazing. And a lot of days it feels like I'm eating toasted oats. So there's a lot of experiences, but I'll tell you one, this was really, really pivotal in my life. It was back in 2012. We had just made our third purchase of a building that we were going to be remodeling and turning it into our kind of epicenter, where all of our companies are out of, right?
Okay.
And of course, like anything, the budgets never stay in budget, right? Like you think it's going to be this, and it just ends up being 20% more, 30% more. Well, unfortunately, we ended up being about 30% more over budget. We ended up hitting a recession. And so not only was I bleeding cash on a regular basis, but I was actually going into our savings. And at that moment, I kind of kept everything away from my wife. Like she didn't want to know. She was not a risk taker. She was all about security, right?
Yeah.
We had made a decision together as a family that she was going to stay at home. She was a nurse. So she had a great income. She had health insurance. She loved her job, but she wanted to stay at home and be a mom. That was her number one priority. So we made a decision to do that. So of course, that's a financial sacrifice that we were making as a family. So you multiply that by all of these other financial stresses, the fact that she and I were not communicating, and it all came to a head one day when she found out that I ended up having to take a second note out against our building. And it was a pretty significant amount. Well, I never communicated with it. So long story short, it was a really, really hard conversation between the two of us. I mean, honestly, guys, I would have been better off telling her that I had cheated on her than I would have told than the fact that we were in financial, like some stress, right?
Interesting.
It was. And so the reason why I tell this story is one is because it was an eye opener for me to see how I was failing as a husband and as a provider for the family. And from that moment on, what ended up happening is that communication with her became 100% transparent. I allowed her to see everything that was going on in the business. I shared our finances. I encouraged her to be a part of things. Now, she didn't have to make decisions or any of that kind of stuff, but I wanted to make sure that she was a part of the journey. So communication between us as a whole got a lot better. Secondly, is that I made sure that she never had to go through that financial stress again. So you guys have heard the term FU money, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what we made sure is that I was putting money away so that no matter what happened in our businesses, that she was secure, that she knew that the house payment was going to be made, that she had money for the food on the table, that she had money for our insurance. She knew that we were going to be secure no matter what was happening on the financial side of our businesses. And so that was a huge, huge thing that ended up changing the dynamic, not only in our marriage, but the way that I ran my businesses and the communication that I've had with her and other people.
It's kind of crazy because, every person has their things that, like Terry, my wife, she grew up really poor. So she grew up hungry. And so one of the things that, like top of the list for her is to have plenty of food in the house, which is not a problem. But it's like there's certain things that she doesn't give a shit about as long as there's plenty of food in the house, as to where, like with your wife, you said you could have cheated on her versus have the security taken. So it's understanding your partner and how to communicate. And it's a little bit of a dance, but it sounds like you got that thing nailed down, brother. So that's good shit.
A lot of work, man. A lot of work.
Josh, I'm a huge fan of moments behind the moment. And then I like to dig even further behind that moment I just referred to. So I want to talk to you man to man, brother. The humbling of those moments leading up to going, holy shit, I got to talk to my wife. Mm-hmm. Like the moment, those times when you're like, okay, you go, okay, when the clock hits 3, I'm going to call John, or when the commercial comes, I'm going to go and talk to my, like there's these triggers that we try to walk ourselves towards fear. Mm-hmm. And this just didn't happen in a second. This was building, Kalinowski. It was building. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy fuck, I got to go. What's your wife's name?
Kate.
I got to go talk to Kate.
Yeah.
So Keith and John don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about your head, because there's men right now that are like you or in with you that have either cheated or in a situation, financial, they don't know how to talk to their partner.
Yeah.
Josh.
Well, I think one thing is, as men, I think one of the challenges that we face is that we end up living lives that are not congruent, meaning that we want to have people do certain things, but we're not willing to do them ourselves. And so it was a great lesson in my life is that I wanted to be congruent throughout my entire life, right? In the sense of like, whatever I talked in business, I wanted to talk about it in family. When I ever talked to my friends, I wanted to make sure that they saw this lived out in other areas of my life.
Yeah.
And so as a leader of an organization, and I'm having these conversations with our people, and I'm trying to bring up leaders within our organization, I needed to make sure that I had examples of specific things that I was doing outside of business so that they knew I was congruent across all channels, right? And so having those hard conversations was so important for me because it was great personal lessons that I could share with them of things that I was doing in order to make sure that I had a healthy marriage, that I had a healthy relationship with my kids, that I had healthy relationships with our staff and our internal leadership and our organizations. Like they can look across all boards and know that I'm going to be very congruent across all boards.
But it sounds like what you're saying, Josh, and if I may maybe read between the lines here, is that you may have been struggling with some of your own hypocrisy then is what you're saying. Because am I hearing you correctly that as you were building through that, you were questioning going, oh, wait a minute, if I'm doing this, but I'm not doing this, I'm kind of being a hypocrite. Would that be fair for me to say? It's a tough word, Josh. Maybe
I don't know if I was, I would say that here's my biggest problem is that I was trying to find men that I admired and that I could follow. And I was having a real hard time finding men that were congruent across the boards of their life.
Yes.
So that was my bigger challenge is that if I couldn't find men, I wanted to be the example of it. So I wasn't necessarily like, it wasn't the fact that I wasn't having a problem being honest. It was just more of like, I wanted mentors. I wanted to find guys that were living a life of full fulfillment that I wanted to have across those I talk about 5 foundations all the time.
Yeah.
I just couldn't find it. I find them when they have 2, they do a great job at 2, but they were really shitty at 3 or maybe they were 3 out of 5. And it's like, why can't you be 5 out of 5? What does it take to be 5 out of 5?
Yeah.
Just transfer those habits into those last 2.
Yeah.
100%, brother. I said so. And God, I stress it all the time. It's like, don't just level up in one area of your life. Do it everywhere. Yeah. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And you might think that you're doing great in, certain areas, but if you're doing shitty in these other ones, the odds are you're not doing as great as you think you are.
Yes. Yeah. Today's guest is Josh Kalinowski, former pro athlete, current CEO of a powerhouse holding company, and father of 4 who somehow still finds time to cold plunge like a maniac. The guy runs real estate, roofing, solar, and spa companies out of a single building that includes a locker room. We've been hanging out with Josh for the last 30, and it has been awesome. Is Johnny one of our best conversations for sure? It has.
Brother.
I got to tell you, man, I just got the warning from Jimmy saying we got to keep going because I think Keith and Johnny could keep you here for hours. Well, I haven't even gotten to 99% I want to talk to you about. So, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the quick hitters. We're going to do the lifestyle tip with Johnny. And then Josh, I'd love to have you back in the future. Could you do that with us?
Love it, man. Absolutely, guys.
This is awesome.
Real quick. One of the things I just want to point out before we go into these quick hitters is that we bring on guests that have reached some level of excellence, right?
Yeah.
Well, with Josh, he's just at such a much higher level. It's just oozing out of him.
Oh, it's so true. I'm with you, Johnny. I was funny because I was looking for our goat. Johnny, I was looking for the goat button, but I don't want to press it.
Don't give him that fucking goat. I will reach through that fucking camera and strangle you if you give him that fucking castrated goat.
Believe me, that's why he didn't press it because I'm thinking,
Christ. Josh, he's got this little goat that sounds like a little bastard has no nuts. It's maybe a female goat.
So, Kalinowski, you're not getting that goat, but I'm giving you. You're certainly one of our goat guests. There's no question about it. Okay, so
you can feel excellence in Josh.
I know you absolutely can. I agree with you, John. I feel like I find myself wanting to reach and keep walking towards you. That's the kind of energy you're bringing, man. You talk about the energy Keith and John bring. I'm wanting to just lean more. I want to suck more out of you. I want to keep hearing what you have to say, man. I'm just really loving it.
Dude, with me, I find myself wanting to listen, not talk. When we have a guest come on that's still figuring out, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got to fucking straighten this motherfucker out.
I can
Josh, I'm like, fuck, this is good shit. Just keep fucking bringing it down the pipe, baby. Let's go.
I know this about.
Oh man, John, you and I gotta work out.
If we ever need a co-host or a new host, we can just have Josh do the show. I think he's pretty damn good at it. He's drinking the same Kool-Aid.
I would love to get together and train with you, brother.
Yeah. Josh, favorite way to start your morning, brother? Not on a Thursday, Josh. Favorite way to start your morning?
Favorite way to start my morning is with a really good cup of coffee and a good book.
Oh,
there we go, baby.
A book, eh?
Yeah.
So here's a question. I got a curious question. And this is a real question because I know when I read a book, sometimes I have a hard time putting it down. How do you put a book down first thing in the morning when you know you got a full day ahead of you and you're like, oh my God, I'm just getting to the good part. I got to put this damn thing down.
Yeah. Honestly, this is the key to doing this is that I try to find one nugget. As soon as I find one nugget, if I can find that in like 2 pages or 10 pages, I'm done. That's the nugget that I need to listen to that day.
Got a little better, baby.
Yeah.
A little bit better every day.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we're going to add to Josh's morning routine because he's going to add Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends to his routine along the way here. So, Josh, cold plunge or sauna if you could only keep one?
Oh, man.
Don't say cold plunge, because you're going to get that gold button if you say cold plunge.
Well, there's so many more benefits to cold plunge, brother. I mean, it's just, but hot, in the hot saunas is amazing. But cold plunge is there's way too many more benefits to cold plunge.
Most used app on your phone?
ChatGTP.
Yeah, there you go. Did you know last month the highest downloaded app in North America, all Gen Z, so it surpassed TikTok and everything. One book you've gifted the most?
Oh man, Play the Man by Mark Batterson. Play the Man by Mark Batterson.
Really? I'm gonna have to check that one. Is that a good one, brother?
Dude, it is one of the books that changed my life.
You know, there's not a whole lot of people that I talk like that I'm talking to in person, virtually. But when I talk to somebody like you and you recommend a book, I'm gonna check that sucker out. What was it one more time?
Play the Man by Mark Batterson.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. First thing you'd do if you had a free day with 0 meetings?
Oh man, I would go to breakfast with my wife.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And then finally, Josh, closing question. What's the one thing you want your kids to say about you 20 years from now?
I want them to say that their dad always was there for them, was always in their corner, and always made sure that they reached their potential in their life.
Wow. Josh Kalinowski joining us here all the way from Wyoming this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Josh, you have been nothing short of exceptional. How can folks find you, connect with you, engage with you, and learn more from you before we bring you back on the show?
Appreciate that, gents. You can find me. IG is my favorite channel that I'm on. So at Joshua D. Kalinowski, just hook me up there, send me a message, and we'll get connected.
Awesome. We got some closing comments from the community here. Spice it up. Open the Bible to the random page. It shows you first page every single time. And I know, Josh, you're a man of faith as well. And Bernard comes in with that great comment. And I know Marty is as well. Marty, one of our co-hosts here on the show as well. He picks up the Bible and gets into the first thing and finds a verse and it moves him. And then he gets on to the next thing. So I think that's something you're talking about as well. Hey, Josh. So. Yep. All right, well, so Jim, we're going to walk Josh out of here. We're going to do the lifestyle tip with Jon Andersen and bring in AJ Zeglen for some continued conversation. Josh, I look forward to connecting with you later today, Gary, brother.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate you guys.
Right.
Thanks, man.
All right. John, that was awesome, man.
That was good. That was, I would say in terms of all I can say is that he was just fucking oozing excellence. You could just feel everybody we bring on here is striving that direction, but there's all different levels,
Yeah. Well, the feeling part. You talk about the feeling. When I saw him in front of the camera, I could feel his energy.
I was going to say it's not even the fucking words.
No,
it's just the fucking vibration.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a great comment.
He doesn't have to fucking say a word. You could just see it. You can. You can smell it. You talked about we talked about like it's a nature thing. You can sense. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Rick Clody, yes. I just spell his IG account, Josh something Kalinowski. Yes, that's exactly it. Josh is in the green room laughing over there. I always catch you into really great segments. Yes, be driven. Go find it. That's called The Light. Lauren's coming in with great conversation. All right, Johnny, let's do the lifestyle tip. We'll come back with AJ, okay? Let's do it, buddy.
Let's go, baby. You got to give me a piss when I'm done with this. All right. So I'm going to take a little bite off of something that our last guest Josh said, and it's something that if you really break this down it becomes a little bit more simple in terms of food and eating. All right. So are you eating for pleasure or are you eating for purpose? Now I'm using my words. He had a different way to describe it, but unfortunately, so many of us were never really taught to understand what food is. Food is fuel. Food helps us have better concentration. Food helps us have better energy. Food helps us have more focus. It's medicine, if you will. And if you look at food from the proper perspective, it will give you a whole different position in life. You know, if you think about it, what we eat literally becomes us. You're eating Cheetos, you're fucking morphing into a goddamn Cheeto, right? Versus, you're eating good whole foods. You're basically you're turning into a better version of you. We weren't designed to eat shit that didn't have an expiration date, right? So if you don't know where to start, I totally get it. Just think about eating real whole foods. If you're pulling something out of a box or a bag, it's probably not going to help you. When you're shopping, shop around the outside of the store, meaning where everything has to stay cold. Because in the middle, that's where all the stuff that doesn't have an expiration date sits, and that's shit that's going to mess you up. So think about that. Are you eating for pleasure or are you eating for purpose? And I'm not saying you can't eat for pleasure once in a while, but in general, eat to be a better version of you. Rock and roll.
For purpose, not for pleasure. Jimmy, we're going to get Johnny a piss break. Let's get him out of here.
I was going to say, God damn it, don't make me remind you again. AJ, what's up, brother? I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
How are you, pal? What's going on today?
Oh, not much, man. Just kind of the usual, nothing too exciting, but
that's okay. No. Boring is fun. Boring's exciting. It's just as we age, that's how it is, my brother. That's how it is.
Yeah, no, it's just it'll be a day in the gym and then working in the clinic a bit and getting a workout in and the usual.
So I got a couple things for us to talk about today.
Awesome.
I do. One of them is a fun one and one of them is a serious one. So I figured, AJ, we can, boring can be a blessing. It's so true, B-Driven. I was talking to my daughter last night and she was here training in the gym, AJ, and she's like, just talking about predictability. And she's like, yeah, I got some friends that are just all over the map. And I'm like, no, life, we want to be successful. Life's just pretty boring. Go to bed on time, eat the good foods and just a regular loop. And she's like, I know. So it's teaching Piper the good habits in life, right? So,
yeah.
But I got a couple things, AJ. So first of all, you missed the start of the show, man. The start of the show, we talked about vabbing. You heard about vabbing?
Vabbing? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so you know how animals walk around and pass how dogs walk up to other dogs and smell each other's ass?
Okay, yeah.
It was a TikTok trend for females with vabbing, rubbing vaginal fluids all over their body so they can attract men.
Oh, man.
Just telling you. Just telling you. I'm purely the messenger, man. They call it, and so Johnny wanted to call it vagging. Well, I'm the guy apparently it's called vabbing. So we got vaping, we got vabbing, but yeah, it's this idea of taking your vaginal fluids and rubbing it on your body and attracting a man of the other sex.
Oh, okay.
I know that you would be intrigued by that. I knew that you'd be.
It is intriguing. Yeah, man. I don't know what to say, man. Sometimes people come up with stuff and I don't.
And you know what the funny thing is? I find it always seems to emanate on TikTok. It's like, okay, so where's the trend coming from now? It's coming from TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, AJ, apparently, here's the other funny topic we're going to get into before we get into some serious chat. Why evangelical men apparently cheat more. And I'm actually curious if you've had men come through your lab yourself that maybe were evangelical and you're thinking, geez, why are all the evangelical men being the guys who are cheating? But have you ever wondered if religion truly makes marriages stronger? Well, today there's some surprising research that challenges common assumptions, revealing why evangelical men, again, the key word here, AJ, might be more prone to infidelity. And the connection, it's actually deeper and more disturbing than you might think. And understanding this paradox matters deeply. It impacts how relationships are built and maintained, affecting emotional well-being, family stability. Getting clarity on this issue can foster healthy dynamics. But some recent studies, AJ, have found that reveal that evangelical teachings emphasizing, and here's where it gets kind of troubling, AJ, is that evangelical teachings emphasizing male hierarchy correlate with rates of higher infidelity.
Brother, I know exactly why this is happening. I know exactly why.
I love it, AJ. Guy goes for a piss, comes back, he's an expert on this right away.
Fuck yes. It's all because of the research that we've done on this show.
I know.
Because the evangelicals haven't adapted soaking. If they adapted soaking, they would fix their fucking problem.
You know, it's so AJ. We talked.
If you're evangelical and you want to cheat, just call yourself a fucking Mormon for the afternoon, and you're good to go. And then hire someone to jump on the fucking bed once you're soaking, and you're good to go.
Apparently, there's two types of sexism.
Yeah, come on, I mean, it's too easy, is it not?
Yeah, I love it.
Just change your title for, honey, I wasn't an evangelical when I did that. I was a Mormon, and I had the cleaning lady jumping on the bed,
Are you weaving Arnold Schwarzenegger's story into this now with the cleaning lady?
Oh, Jesus. I had the house cleaner, whatever you want to call it.
But the reason for this, gentlemen, is apparently because evangelical men, through some of the teachings, come up with this kind of these two types of sexism, right? This hostile, this overt misogyny, right? And then benevolent, protective paternalism, reinforcing male dominance. Both strongly predict cheating behaviors. And AJ, the core issue is the role of power in the relationship. So men that are conditioned to believe that they should have the greater authority, again, through some of the evangelical teachings, suggests that they're going to statistically higher likelihood to cheat. And I found it kind of fascinating, boys, because there's some because it's like we're being taught beliefs, and as a result of it, it's like, I'm better than you, which means that I can go and do my own thing. That's really what it's saying, AJ.
We can fucking hide behind whatever bullshit we want.
I know.
Every creature on the planet knows the difference between wrong and right.
Yes.
The question is, are you actually honoring that?
Yes. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
AJ,
yeah, no, it's interesting. It's the first time I heard it. I have no personal experience in it. Like, it's not like in my own practice that I've noticed or anything like that I can speak to it.
It makes sense though, doesn't it? Like,
I think I can see what it's saying. I can also see, like, I would also probably attribute it a little more to what John is saying, and just saying that, like, we could probably run that study almost too, and almost find like 10 different other things too to connect it to. You know what I mean? 100%. And just right, and just be like, oh, okay, well, but I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know.
It's goofy morning show conversation fodder to keep the thing going here. But here's something more important. Have you guys ever found yourself stuck in a conversation that just won't end? Let's talk a little bit about, for the next few moments, about how to interrupt. Let's give some advice to folks on how to effectively interrupt people you're talking with, reclaim voice, enhance communication skills, demonstrate leadership, promote inclusivity, and engage in conversation that is good for everybody. Because, guys, there's some, again, research showing that people who master polite interruptions are perceived as more confident and influential. Using a person's name to interrupt has been proven to grab attention without causing defensiveness, et cetera, et cetera. But boys, let's get into it. Have you found, I'm looking at you, Zeglen, start with. I got to think when you're working with your clients or even in the gym and so forth, sometimes you get into a conversation. It's like, how do I get in the middle of this? How do I interject? So the point of what I want to get into here is to give the audience some ways to learn on how to have a conversation and how to interject, how to interrupt without being a dick.
Right.
Makes sense?
No. Yeah, totally. Great question. I will say really quick too, just one, I took a while to get the brain working this morning. What I was going to say before too about the last topic is there's also sometimes a difference between correlation and causation, right? So we could look at certain factors or certain variables in any situation, and just be like, oh, well, a high percentage of these type of men do this, or a high percentage of these type of people do this, but it doesn't mean that that's actually the cause of why that happens, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? Like, just because it correlates, we can't automatically make the assumption that that is also the cause just because there's a correlation there, right?
I got you. Yeah, I absolutely got you.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so on to your other question there about how to
redirecting conversation with respect.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because in my line of work, you're actually I'm trying to do the best to get the people to talk as much as they can.
Yes,
right? But
yes.
I want them to speak. Like if I find myself like I feel like I'm talking too much.
Yes.
Then I find that we're not having a great session. Like, this isn't going to be as productive for the person as possible, because I need them to be open. I need them to be sharing. So a lot of time for me, it's not how am I interjecting to put myself in the conversation. A lot of times for me, it's how am I removing myself from the conversation and trying to encourage them to talk more, try to encourage them to share what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And because the more they talk about it, the more we can work through it. Right. So a lot of times it's the opposite of that. And it's me asking a lot of questions, that's trying to initiate or engage them into getting them to speak more. So I have to speak less.
One of the ways we might want to consider mastering the graceful art of interruption is by actually using somebody's name. Right. So it's hey John, just a quick second here. I'm going to jump in with you, right? And that's a good way of getting John's attention, getting his awareness, and going back and forth. Another way to go about it, guys, is look at some of my notes here, is acknowledging, then redirecting. So AJ, that's a really great point. But maybe we also want to consider this.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm leaving these out there because these are things that I think as we go through our day today, especially we go through meetings and we communicate with our partners, our kids, our people at work. Sometimes we get into a conversation, we don't know how to get in the middle of it, AJ and Johnny, or we don't know how to steer it, and it just goes on and on and on. Johnny.
100%. Yeah. This is something that like interrupting is something that I have to like focus on, because God damn it, I am a fucking interrupting goddamn machine, especially if I'm in a certain mood,
Yes.
And it's coming from the right place, but it really doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But one of the things that I do in the situation when I'm focused on, okay, I need to interject here, is I'll lead with my apologies. Like, I'm sorry for interrupting you, versus just fucking, and then obviously then there's the, like my blood dad, he was a guy that would fucking interrupt and change the fucking subject, even if you're like bleeding your fucking heart. Right. So it was like, that actually was quite helpful for me, because when that would happen to me, it would make me realize, God, do I really want to do that to someone else?
Yes.
And so Terry actually she literally, I told her, I said, honey, there's a few things that I do, and I don't even know I do it. So there's a word that she'll say, and I could be, God knows what I'm doing. I'll hear that word and I'll just fucking freeze. I'll stop, because I know I'm doing something I don't know I'm doing. I don't want to be doing it. And so, this whole topic is an interesting one for me, but there are ways to get in the middle of there without offending the other person and redirecting. I think we've talked about this before too. You can even start off a conversation by saying, hey, Keith, I got 5 minutes, so let's make sure we get through what we need to get through.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, I got 5 minutes, just so you know.
I appreciate that. I purposely put this on the table today because this is what we do for a living. And AJ, you listen for a living, but conversation is a big part of what you do for a living as well. Because like you said, if you're conversing too much, then you're not listening enough. Right. So it's finding a way to get in the middle of a conversation. And I say it all the time with folks, especially post show, and especially in this is supposed to be an entertaining experience.
Yeah.
A good tennis match is like a good conversation, AJ, Johnny. goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Sure.
Right? If you're volleying too much of the ball on your side, AJ, I'm like, fuck, this is boring, man. This guy won't hit the ball over to Johnny. Right. So it's finding a way to interject. So John, I'll say some things you're really good at. You're good at apologizing and saying, hey, I'm sorry, but I got interrupted. I think it's a great tactic. Right. I'm a name dropper. I'll say, hey, AJ, and I think I'm good at dropping a name and then redirecting. There's things like that. But it's the other tactic I would give people is here's where you really got to listen and try to anticipate what somebody's saying next while you're listening, and then finding the gap in what's going to come next. Do you follow that, AJ and Johnny? Right. So it's because often I think we're listening and we're not actually listening because we're thinking about what we're going to say next.
Right? Yes. And that's another one too. It's like, holy Christ, are you really involved in this conversation, or are you just planning what you're going to say next? And that was another thing I had to overcome.
Yes. Yes. And that's why I say to folks, if you're having struggle listening, start a podcast with somebody, even if it's just to record yourself having a conversation with somebody. Because then when you go into post-production, you quickly realize how often you're over-talking somebody or how poorly you're interrupting somebody. Right. So it's like Keith and AJ sitting down and just doing a recording together, then listening to it after, going, oh, and AJ, you and I've talked about this before, actually. I know you and I've talked about this before, off the show, which is this idea of learning how to communicate effectively, but learning how to interrupt. There's a skill there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, some of the stuff you've already just previously brought up are great things. I love the part about the name. There's actually research that's been done just to support how much people like hearing the sound of their own name.
Tell me.
It's music.
And it's funny, like, so people respond so positively to it that basically what it will show you, Keith, is so if we're interacting with each other and I gave you a compliment, but let's say I was just like, hey, good job, man. Okay, well, that feels good. That was something positive. I tell you did a good job. But if I even gave you something that was slightly more negative, like I was like, hey, Keith, you can do better.
Oh, yeah.
Even though that has a slightly more negative connotation, like I didn't tell you did a good job. I'm actually telling you could do better. The fact that I used your name and you heard me saying your actual name, you would respond more favorably to that cue just because your name was in it, rather than me just giving you the generic, hey, good job, man.
Oh, just like this. Good morning, Tony, Mickey. I see you there in the comments. You're joining a live morning show with Keith, John, and AJ on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. What's shaking, Tony? I invite you to subscribe to our channel. We get after it every single day here at 8 o'clock Eastern time live. And his comment, AJ and Johnny, was, I've heard someone call that fighting for the next sentence. It's true. I've been in a lot of discussions with folks where you can see the person just eagerly waiting to want to say something next. And you're like, and they're not even listening. Like they're not paying any attention to what everybody's saying. They're just waiting to get their fucking thing to get out.
And a lot of times what they say next doesn't even fucking connect to what the conversation is.
Adds no value. Yeah. So anyways, I know you guys got to rock and roll. AJ's got to rock and roll. Johnny's got to rock and roll. This is a conversation we can keep coming back to. I put it specifically in the parking lot for us three because this is something all of us do all the time. Yeah. And I just like to have these reminders because this is what we do for a living. We talk for a living. Keith and Johnny talk for a living, and helping others get through their day with tactics and techniques, I think, is helpful for all of us. So, Zeglen, what do you got going on today in the gym, bro? You got a lift going on today? I did shoulders today. I love shoulder workouts. What do you got today, pal?
I got the same, man.
Yeah. I
got the same shoulders, and I got a little bit of conditioning work that I'm doing today too. So.
Nice. And Johnny's got pickleball because he's at that age now, AJ, where he plays pickleball.
I'm pickling.
That's it. I got invited to a pickleball tournament last weekend. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, but Melissa went, and Melissa played in it. But yeah,
I think we got to play some pickleball, AJ. Everybody else is playing. I think I got to play some pickleball with you.
I would love to play pickleball, man. I know it takes a lot of heat, but
I think it's because it's pickleball. It's like pickleball.
Yeah. I know, but yeah, it's fun, man. Every time I've played, I've had a great time playing. Hey, I will say real quick too. We always talk to you about how we are able to lead by example, right? And through our actions. And when we're talking about all these different ways that communicate with people, you'll also notice that people will change the way they communicate based on the other person. So, if I know that I'm talking to someone in my history of communication with them, if they've always been very thoughtful, if they've been very respectful, if they've been very calm, and they've, and they've delivered stuff, and I could always feel like that they were really listening to me. When I go into those conversations, I'm more likely to match that type of energy, right? Yeah. So we can control a lot too on that by if we carry ourselves and conduct ourselves in a certain manner, and that when people are in conversations with us, they're going to mirror those same qualities that we're exhibiting on a consistent basis, right?
We get back what we give so much more than we realize, for sure. You know,
right? John, that's probably why that conversation with Josh Kalinowski was so good. AJ, I would not have expected you to heard the first 30. If anything, actually, I would invite you to.
My apologies, Keith, but I've got to interrupt you because I've got to go. I'll see you guys. Have a good live, everyone.
See you, pal. All right.
See you, John.
We'll see you later, Johnny. Yeah, AJ, I would tell you, man, I would invite you to go back to listen to the first half hour of the show here. We had a wonderful guest, former baseball player, Josh Kalinowski. Man, the guy's a conversationalist, but he dropped nuggets left and right. And I know you'll appreciate him because former ball player, now a very successful business guy. But he's very. I know you well. I feel like I know you extremely well.
Yeah,
Kalinowski would be part of our brotherhood.
Yeah,
like he's just that kind of dude, man. He'd hang out at Focus. He'd get after lifts. He drops. He's got 4 kids. He's got an 18-year-old son. Just the nuggets he dropped left and right, man. I would encourage you to check that out for sure.
Awesome, I will for sure. Yeah. I love. Man, I've met so many cool people through this show and been directed to so many cool people that I now follow through whatever social media, their LinkedIn or whatever. And I constantly now get to read stuff that they post or they share, and I get to learn about them and know them. It's been a great networking opportunity for me being in here.
I relate, man. I meet some incredibly. I'm blessed. I meet just these incredible people, including the guy coming up. AJ, we got a guy calls himself the book professor, and he's not here to mess around. He's the founder of Manuscripts, a Georgetown professor, and the man behind AJ over 2,500 published authors. Yeah, we all know my opinion on authors. He's on a mission to help ambitious people finally write a book off their bucket list, and he's got the track record to back it up. And just so you know, writing the book isn't the hard part. It's building an audience that actually cares. Coming up in a couple minutes, we got Eric Koester joining us in the lab. AJ, have you ever thought about writing a book?
I'm writing a book right now.
Oh, are you gonna become a best-selling author too?
We're gonna see. Yeah, I started writing a book a couple months ago. So yeah,
that's awesome. You notice on my title on LinkedIn, I am not a best-selling author, and I'm not a TEDx speaker. Yeah, and I love playing that up because every fucking best-selling author I know, you go to their garage.
Right.
There's books and books and books and books. And books.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They just bought make them a best-selling author. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love the process of writing. I love it. I write for a few publications.
Yeah.
I write songs. I love lyrics because I obviously musical and play guitar and write. I love writing songs. I love writing anything that I can write. I enjoy that process of writing. So yeah, I actually did start writing a book in the terms of therapy and psychology, that type of field. So I'm actually, it's funny that came up. I was going to bring it to you probably in a few more months here once
I look forward to it.
Once I'm finished it and just to see what you thought of it. But
I'm writing AI songs like this one. Listen to it. I made this. I wrote this song. This is my song.
I could hear some music going today in the background. I was going to ask you guys if you could hear it. I wasn't sure where it was coming from. Was that coming from you?
That's coming from me. Yeah. So brand new AI tool called Suno. Make your own songs, man. Lyrics. I'm now creating soundtracks for the show.
Sweet.
True story. Yeah. With a prompt, you can make a whole song. But I will say this. I decided instead of becoming an author, AJ, I decided I'd start a morning show for men.
Yeah.
Because nobody starts morning shows. They're all just becoming authors. I'm like, you guys can be authors. I'm going to do something different. Become a morning show for men. Yeah. There you go. All right, Jamie Newstead, I see you there in the comments. Be driven, I see you there. We got to get AJ out of here. Jimmy, I know he's got to get on with his day, and we got to bring in our next guest, Eric Koester. Zeglen, I love you, man. Have a good day.
Thanks, man. Love you too. I'll see you soon.
You betcha. All right, AJ's going to get out of here. Jimmy, hang tight for Eric. We're going to bring him up here in a quick second. Let's do a little reset. Let's reset the comments. Here we got Tony Mickey joining us. Be driven. It is something worth working on regularly and bringing it up. Maybe we can check in on progress, see how we're fixing it. Be safe. Hey, guys, just a reminder. We turned on the Mornings in the Lab paid community this week because of our good friend Adam Holroyd, who decided to step up with his wallet. And he's like, hey, I'm buying. I'm like, oh, what are you buying? He's like, I'm buying part of your community. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know he had one. Even though I did know he had one, but I wasn't even paying attention. So yes, the show is free. And I love giving you guys a free experience with free guests and free content and a lot of great stuff on a daily basis. But hey, great businesses aren't built on free. So as we continue to grow this thing, if you feel like you want to support this experience, I invite you to. No obligation. We got 3 membership levels here in the lab. We got our first 2 members who step up. I appreciate you, Lady Drew Boger. I appreciate you, Adam Holroyd. And those of you that want to step up, I appreciate you, all you as well. And again, I remind you, like Johnny did yesterday as well, the money that we're contributing to grow this thing isn't here to line my pockets, isn't here so I can buy a new house or buy a new car. Now, I did all that in my previous business. What we're asking for is to contribute so we can keep growing this thing. So any money coming in, we're reinvesting it back in the business. That's my public commitment to you guys. And then when we get this thing to a great point, then we'll make some money together. But at the end of the day here, we're looking to grow the biggest morning show for men, 8 o'clock Eastern time, mornings in the lab with Keith and friends. All right, Jimmy, let's do it, man. We got the book Professor coming up. This guy's not here to mess around. He's the founder of Manuscript, a Georgetown professor, the man behind over 2,500 published authors. Let's bring him up, Jimmy. The man, Eric Koester. What's up, Eric? Did I say your last name right, or is it Koester?
I mean, listen, when you got a weird spelled last name, I answered anything with a K and an So it's Koester like general, but listen, you got it right. You crushed it. Well, good morning.
God, thank you, brother. Thank you. So as I was looking at the name, I was doing some recording stuff. I'm like, Koe. It's probably kind of how I said it, but I just was kind of going after it.
Yeah, listen, you just, it's the last most important thing here behind it. So better than anyone saying your name, not how they say it right.
That's it. So you're an author, you're an investor, you're a creator, and you're a podcast host, and you're, on the Fast Company side of things, you're the 50 most innovative honoree. Dude, you help ambitious individuals finally write and publish their book with a 95% manuscript completion success rate. Dude, you've created over 2,500 published authors. You've helped over 400 plus win book awards. I'm just.
And now I can say I'm a guest on Mornings in the Lab, right? Like, I'm going to add that under there. Mornings in the Lab attendee. There you go.
Dude, the big vision is launching 10,000 new authors in 10 years. Jimmy, This guy is on a mission. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's get into it. First of all, where are you joining us from here today?
I'm in DC. Yeah, I just live just north of Georgetown's campus. So I home office, and I'll give you my ultimate flex here. All these books behind me are ones that I've helped people make. So I've got one of the largest libraries of signed first edition books in the world. So pretty cool.
Let's talk authorship, identity, IP ownership, and what it really takes to become someone worth reading with Eric Koester, myself, Keith Billis, on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. So Eric, you say create or creator more than a tech founder pitching in 2011. When I look at your profile, what is it about that word that means so much to you? As I was looking at your profile and looking at your content, dude, you lean into those words so much. What does that word mean to you?
I think it actually means like generosity, honestly. Like, I think that's what's so interesting. Like you said earlier, like, I don't want to create a book, but I want to create a morning show. Yeah. And I think here's the truth of the matter. I mean, like, listen, a world's amazing today behind it, but if you're living a consuming life, all I'm doing is consuming, you're kind of missing the opportunity to create and give. And so I think that's the real thing behind it is, like, I think I used to spend a lot of time in venture capital and startups, focusing a lot on people starting companies. Yeah. Not everyone should start a company. I mean, honest to God, it's not for most people, but I do think we should all create something, whether it's a book or whether it's a podcast or whether it's an event or a morning show, whatever it is. I think it's sort of our obligation. And especially, I think if you're struggling to find, meaning, purpose, friends, relationships, the best thing to do is pick a collaborative project that allows you to connect with people just like this. I mean, I think it's funny. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did a bunch of research on the world's most successful 20-somethings. And I had this theory thinking, like, well, maybe it's because they went to great schools or whatever it is. 84% of the people we studied had a creation project, something they created. And again, it's morning shows, it's video shows, it's podcasts, it's books. And so I think if you really want to stand out, pick a creative, collaborative project, meet people, grow, and that's the best way to sort of actually do something worth doing.
You know what I love about what you're saying right now, Eric, is that, and I talk about this with my kids all of the time, is that we have been conditioned to use our iPads and our iPhones to Consume. I made a pivot with my young kids over the years. I said, I don't mind you consuming those Marvel shows, but if you're going to consume a Marvel movie for 2 hours, I want you to create a movie for 2 hours. I want you to create content. I want you to create a video. I want you to create a song. I want you to create. So if you're going to spend 4 hours on your iPad today, you're spending 2 hours creating, 2 hours consuming. And I talked to you about this, Eric, because I don't think enough parents and enough folks lean into the creation side of these things instead of the consumption side. And if our parents change the "k" to the "kr," there'd be so many more creators, and our kids would be creating so much more great content instead of consuming. Talk about that pivot and shift around creating instead of consuming, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm like you. I have 3 daughters, 10, 8, and 6. So, wish me luck in a couple of years. But I think, I'll tell you, the coolest thing I've ever done, and I've done a lot of cool stuff, was during the pandemic, my daughters were young. We were all stuck inside, and they said, "Hey, tell us a bedtime story." And to your point, I thought about it for a second. I was like, no, let's create one together. And so over about 8 weeks, we started this bedtime story, telling it. And I was smart enough to record it. And over these weeks, we came with the story. And I then took those recordings and I turned into a book. And it's the book called Pennymore's right here behind it. Yeah. It's an amazing experience. We were a finalist for Book of the Year for kids on Goodreads. I mean, the most amazing experiences behind it. But what I'll tell you is the craziest thing here is for me is now my daughters see themselves as creators, as authors. So it tells the story of them. It's been this amazing experience. But now they're in the game. We're building new books, we're building new things. And so I think that's the real important thing behind it, is that we don't spend a lot of time consuming because we're too busy creating. And I think once you make that shift, life is fun, and it also creates more collaboration. Now you've got the chance to talk to people, engage. It just gets you out of that me world into the we world.
Eric, you've said in your posts and in my research about you, you said that writing isn't the hard part.
Right.
So if writing's not the hard part, well, then Eric Koester, what is?
Well, I think it's, to your point, look at all the tools that we have today. I mean, we've got generative AI, we've got recordings, all this kind of stuff. Like the actual act of putting words down, easy, right? It's not hard these days behind it. I think what is hard is actually making people care, right? Like, how do you do those things? Yes. And I think the biggest thing that I think the misconception is that I've got these followers or I've got this stuff I'm going to post on social media. But the reality of it is life today is all about driving more human connections. How do you make people do it? And I'll tell you, this book, Pennymore's, we didn't sort of I don't have some connection. I'm not a teacher. I don't know anything about, how to get kids to read a book. But what I did know is I reached out to hundreds and thousands of people in my network one-on-one and said, hey, we've got this new book project. I'd love to give you an early copy to read it. And it sold 25,000 copies. So it wasn't some magic thing, but the idea of it is of actually stopping trying to internally, it's me, and turning it into something else. That's the real secret today. And I think that's why your show resonates, because it's not about you. It's about us. It's about we. And that's what I think everyone needs today, is find more collaborative opportunities.
Yeah. There's no question about that. Eric, how do you help someone go from idea to publishable manuscript in 5 months? So I'm coming to you, I'm like, hey, I want to write a book. And the next thing you know, we're publishing a manuscript in 5 months.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'll tell you, it's funny. And you said it earlier along the way when you were talking to your prior guest. I think the first question I always tell people is, you got to ask yourself the question is, why am I writing this thing? A lot of people write a book because of ego reasons. I want to put it on my bio or whatever it is. Yeah. And I would tell you, I meet a lot of people, and I would say only about 10% of people I meet actually have something worth writing. And, you can write something for ego, for your friends and family, but if you want it to actually spread and matter, do you have something worth writing? And so a lot of it is figuring out what's different, what's unique, what's unconventional. So the very first thing I do with any person that I'm talking to about a book is helping figure out why is anyone going to care who doesn't know you? What is that thing? So that's the first most important thing. And honestly, if you don't do this, you won't finish. Right? 98% of people that start a book never, ever finish it. The reason is they don't have a compass. What they're doing is they don't know where it's going or why it matters, so they quit. So what I've learned is once you have that kind of compass, it's easy. You start to sort of talk to someone who's an architect. You start to talk to an editor. And really what it is that kind of weekly cadence. It's the difference of what it takes today. It's about not treating your book like a gym membership. I get excited about it. I pay the money. I go for 3 weeks and I stop, versus a personal trainer. What I've learned is if every week you're meeting with someone who can help you, guide you, talk to you, hold you accountable, you'll finish. And that's really what happens. It really is not that complicated, but you can't finish a book on your own. Our whole philosophy is never write alone. So once you have something worth writing, stop writing alone, build a community, a collaborator, a coach. That's really what matters.
I have such a opinion on
surprise,
authors,
surprise, Keith.
on authors and books, because I don't know if the world needs another book from somebody's brain that nobody cares about. Yet there's somebody waking up right now going, yeah, I'm writing a book. Fuck, don't. Like, don't waste your time. Nobody wants to hear about it. Yet, like how do we convince people not to write books for the sake of writing a book? Dude, you don't say, Eric, I'm not piss on your industry or piss on what you do for a living.
No, so listen, it's not at all. I mean, listen, I told you this one. 90% of people I meet shouldn't write the book. I'm going to tell them, like, listen, you're writing an ego thing right now. There's no point in doing it. I think the biggest thing that they have to do is people start writing a book by themselves. And the first thing is start to actually talk to people, get feedback, interview people to figure out, is there something here? But I think a lot of people think of this as, it is my book. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing you can do is, if you want to figure out if your book will matter, start talking about it before you write it. Right? Like, actually get out there, go on stages, go teach it, whatever it may be. Like, as I told you, the Penny Moore's experience with me, I didn't just sit down and start writing. I started talking about it, telling it with my daughters, practicing, going back and forth behind it. So as soon as we move people from it's my book into it's our book, you'll shift, because now you can see feedback. Do people care about it? That's the thing I think that people do, is they say it's mine, 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 mine. And then I launch it, hope you like it, versus really building collaboration in the process. That's the key.
It's intriguing to me because it's not actually mine.
Exactly right.
Like, if I'm doing a good job writing my book, it's actually about Eric.
Exactly.
And about AJ, and about John, and about my audience.
It's an ego problem. Yeah, I mean, so I think what's funny about it, and I love your bio that says not a TED Talk, not a best-selling author. And here's what is important in it. Is you look at my bio, I've written almost 10 books and it's not listed in my bio. I don't list it as that thing until down there, right? Do you know why? Because it's not about me. It's about the reader and engaging in that way. So the truth of the matter is, like, I don't use it as an ego thing. I use it as a way to sort of capture, learn, and share. But I think it's not something that I didn't put it in there, say the first thing about me. What am I more proud of? That I've helped other people do it. I'm way more proud of that in that way. And so I think if you're using a book as a way to meet people, to learn, to capture knowledge and share it, then great. But if you just want something on your shelf to show off to people when you have dinner parties, it's just not worth doing. It's just about ego as opposed to about outcomes.
Thanks for that gold nugget, because that's just truth right there. That's actually, and it's the same thing I feel about Eric in today's world of social media. People who dabble in social media, I say to them, stop dabbling. Go spend time with your kids or your wife. Because there's people that are professionally creating nonstop content that when Eric wakes up today and says, hey, I'm making a great post and I'm taking 4 hours to make it and post it and nobody interacts with it, nobody fucking cares about your one post, right?
Here's what I'll tell you about that one. I think it's a really great point. And I think there's some funny things about, all this stuff. I will tell you what I admire more than anything today. And that's why I actually like working with authors is I don't view it as like, hey, I'm writing a book. I view it as honing your craft. The craft is I learn how to write. I learn how to think. I learn how to teach. I learn how to communicate in that way. And so I think that there's a difference between people who are, hey, I'm writing a book, and craft people. So I think that's the real thing today. It's like you can't do it one time. You can't just go out and give it to AI. You have to hone the craft and get better and better and better. And so that's why some people come to me like, hey, I saw this thing online. I could write a book in 30 days with AI. Great, you can do that one, but it won't be any meaningful growth to you or to the reader. It's a craft. And any great project, I told you this study about the thousands of most successful 20-somethings that we studied. What was crazy about them is that 84% of them had some kind of a demonstrable project on their resume that took them between 6 and 12 months. So anything that is worth doing will take time to do. And that's what I would say about this idea of just writing a book to write a book. They just want to get it done versus build the craft over time, build an audience. That is the difference. Craft over outcome.
Matthew Roof, my business development guy here, Mornings in the Lab with Keith Friends, is tuning into the show here as well. I'm not sure if you've met Matt yet, you will. But he comes in with a great comment, and I'm going to add on to his comment. But Matt's comment says, two huge shifts on today's show. Our first guest, we talked about from purpose to potential, and now you and I have been going from consume to create. But I love that you've added the third word, which is craft. Yeah. Because when I hear you say that word, I hear practice. Totally. Because if I'm in the craft cannabis business or in the craft alcohol business or craft wine business, I'm constantly crafting, practicing to make a better product. It's never finished. So when I hear you say the word craft, I hear care. I hear timeliness. I hear project. I hear investment. I don't hear done. And I love that, because when I hear craft, there's a new meaning in that. So what you're saying to me is that, Keith, if you're writing your book, you're never actually done. It's your craft. You're writing it, you're learning, and that one's going to be, you're going to hit a milestone, not done. You're going to hit a milestone. You're going to put it on the shelf. And then, Keith, I want to sit down with you and help you craft your next experience. That's what you're saying, isn't it, Eric?
And I'll tell you one more thing. I think what is important in designing projects that matter. So my biggest sort of mission in life, and I wrote a book recently called Super Mentors.
Yes.
And it really talks about the importance today is if anyone is unhappy, struggling, stuck, whatever it is, don't quit your job. Don't go start a company. Identify a project. Pick a project. And here's what I will tell you that I've learned about projects. There are 3 things that really matter. Number 1, you have to pick something meaningful, something that allows you to learn and grow and change, something that you're doing where you're going to actually learn something. So if you want to learn about cannabis, or if you want to learn about, sort of whatever it is, pick a project, number 1. Number 2, make sure that it is something that's collaborative. You can't just do something that like, hey, I'm going to whittle away, but you have to be something where you collaborate with other people. You build in that kind of relationships. You interview people for your podcast. You interview people for your book. You put together an event behind it. And number 3, and perhaps most importantly, make your project finishable in about 6 to 12 months. Don't start a blog. Please, dear God, don't start a blog. If you're going to do something, put a number in front of it. I'm going to finish a 200-page book. I'm going to do a 10-episode podcast. I'm going to get 200 people to come to an event. Always make it finishable. Why? The reason is if you finish something, you can demonstrate it and then decide to do it again. So don't say I'm doing a podcast. I'm doing a 10-episode first season of my podcast. I finish it, and then I can decide to do a second one. But make your projects finishable. Don't make them in perpetuity, because if you stop doing it, it's a failure. But if you finish a season and you don't do it, you still learn something and you finished.
I'm pausing because I'm loving this. This is really interesting. So I'm going to put a spin on it, and maybe change the word finish to milestone.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Right.
Milestones are finishable, right? You can finish a milestone in that way. So completion is important. Complete and demonstrate. That's what I would tell you. You want to complete and demonstrate. If you're not sort of having a finishing point or a milestone point to share that feedback, whatever it is, like I said, I wrote Pennymore's. It was never one book for me. It was always a series. So I finished the first one. I'm now working on the next ones. I hit a milestone. It is a finished milestone. And now I'm going to the next one because I enjoyed it.
When you look at some great authors, you look at Tolkien and so forth, you're creating, sagas, like trilogies, like many books, right? As a big arcing story, right? So, Eric, continuing with the chat here. Hey, with Keith and Eric, mornings and live with Keith and friends. We're dropping at 9:30 Eastern time right now here on the show. We are living in a world of AI everywhere, and IP ownership, Eric Koester, is in disarray. Talk about why IP ownership is such a big deal right now, and how are you advising somebody around their IP? Eric?
Yeah, so I think so. Here's what I'll tell you. I view the world of AI in sort of eras. So I think what we're right now is what I would call the general era of AI. And if you look at it, how we're using AI and technology, there's these massive language learning models out there, and we're all kind of pulling from that stuff.
Yep.
That's great. That's a great way to understand these things, but it ain't the future. In fact, what is happening in the shift it's already moving into is what I would call individual AI. So what right now we're living in this world of like kind of this general mess. And so you think about it, there's all this data in this pond and we pull out stuff, but it's from general stuff behind it. Where we're moving is into Tony Stark. So if you look at Tony Stark and how he uses Jarvis, it ain't some general pool of stuff. Jarvis knows Tony, and all of that is based on his interactions with Tony, his information from Tony, all that stuff. So the key thing to understand is AI right now is this general mess of stuff that you're pulling from. And quite frankly, we're all just pulling from a pond of messy stuff. But what's really exciting is imagine when you're pulling from your stuff. So what's cool about the future is where you create things, you write articles, you post stuff, you whatever it is, you write books, and you can put it into your pool, and now AI can pull from it and actually create a second brain for yourself. That's the future. And if you don't own your data, you don't own your IP, you don't create anything, you don't have anything to pull from. It's pulling from an empty well. So you better be filling up your well, whether it's your writing, your books, whatever it is, because you can then create on top of that. Once you have a pool, man, the ability to create better and bigger and more creative stuff is awesome. So I always urge people not to outsource their rights, their IP, whatever it is, because if you don't own it, you can't build on top of your own knowledge stack anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Eric, dropping nuggets, man. Eric, if someone's been sitting on a book idea for years, they've been sitting there, they're listening to you and I talk right now, they're thinking, should I start? But Eric's talking about milestones, finishing something. What's the bit of advice you're telling somebody right now is where they should start?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I think you have to ask yourself is why you're writing it. Right. I think like, so I'll tell you a couple of things that I've learned. Right. And I'm super fortunate. I've worked with tons of people now. And the backstory of this one is kind of cool. I didn't start this to sort of say I want to help authors. I was teaching a class at Georgetown with a bunch of undergrads. Yeah. And it was fun. I was teaching them entrepreneurship. So first off, I was not smart enough to get into Georgetown as an undergrad. So the fact they let me teach there is still a wonder to me. So they let me teach there. And I was teaching a class about entrepreneurship. Kids liked it. They were, my classes were sort of subscribed, but it wasn't meaningful to me. I was not enjoying the process because none of them were going to start companies, right? I was like, just make believe. So I actually quit. Told Georgetown I'm out, like this has been fun, but you find someone else, right? And they said, no, you can't. I don't have anyone else to teach it. So I was sort of stuck. I had to teach this class for one more semester. And I thought about it. I was like, all right, well, what do I do? Like, what do I do? And so I was talking to a buddy of mine, one of my best friends, a guy named Shane Mack. You should definitely get him on the show at some point.
Yeah.
And Shane said, hey, what is a meaningful experience you've had? And when I was in my 20s, I had written and published 2 books. They like transformed my life, opened all these doors, venture capital, all this kind of stuff. So Shane said, well, why don't you just make every student write a book? And I was like, well, how would I do that? He's like, I don't know, figure it out. So 3 weeks later, I decided that I was going to make all these students write a book. And so I walk into class. These are undergraduate students. They signed up for an entrepreneurship class. Day one, I tell them your grade is based on one thing. And I put up a slide and it says, write a book. And I will tell you, their faces looked terrorized. Like, what is he doing? Why is he doing this thing behind it? And it was crazy, but I understand why they were terrorized. That said, I told him at the end of class, I know this sounds crazy, but listen, if you really want to do something like this, just trust me, I can help you out. So as I walked out of the class, I thought everyone was going to drop the class because what the heck's going on? The next week, the class tripled in size. They told their friends, they came back. And I realized in that moment 2 very important things. Number one, humans want to do stuff that matters. We want to do things that are meaningful and are purposeful and actually important behind it. And number 2, we don't want to do them alone. So that's the biggest things that I've learned about all these pieces in that way. So what I would tell you, the first thing behind it is don't sit down and think about I should write a book. Instead, I would tell you is figure out like how you want to find a group of people to do something meaningful with. So that's why whenever I teach this thing now, I build a community. So this summer, there'll be about 30 authors that I'll work with together, myself included, in a community. So number one, don't do it alone. Figure out what is your accountability, your partner, whatever it is. But stop saying, I'm going to write a book, and say, let me find people who are going to do those things. That's number one. Number two, the biggest thing to know about books, though, is that like part of the reason that stops people is they have this dream of saying, well, I want to sell millions of copies or go on the bestseller list behind it. Shitty goal. It's a goal that's like very much egocentric behind it. So what I tell people that I've learned here is that modern authors don't get fixated on book sales. I mean, you'll sell copies, but if that's your primary motivation, it's just not enough to pull you along. So what most of the people that I work with, they're looking at their book as a tool to create new opportunities for themselves. So figure out what you want from it. For most of our authors, they want to use a book to get on more stages and do more talks and keynotes or get more podcast interviews. Or maybe they want to use a book to do more workshops and trainings and corporate retreats, or maybe use a book so that they can get more clients, do more coaching, go on a book tour, build whatever it is. But figure out what you want the book to unlock. It's not the book itself is the only thing. It has to be a lever to create more opportunities. So those are the 2 things. Find a community that you can sort of be a part of. So it's not about me, but it's about we, whether it's writing partners, whether it's a coach, whatever it is. But don't make it about you alone because you won't finish. And then figure out what is the kind of the thing. I want to open this door through the book. I want to have a TED Talk. I want to have whatever it is. But what is the other thing that you want the book to unlock? Not just book sales alone.
Dude, what I love about this and I'm fascinated about this is that as I'm hearing you talk and you're saying that, you're not going to become Stephen King or John Grisham, and your book is your tool. But yet, when I started this show to me is not a tool. My vision is to be Mr. Beast. My vision is to be Letterman. My vision, and my point with that is that I'm sometimes saddened, Eric, that there's nobody out there teaching people to be just that. That there's too many. Oh, I want to help you write a book to be the next Stephen King. Oh, did I just go somewhere, Jimmy? Oh no, I got something's on my.
There you go. You look like you were doing a kissy face for a second there, but
yeah,
now you're back.
I got a ridiculous face there. Yeah, but my point though is that I guess it's okay for people to want to be the next Stephen King, Eric.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the problem is though that they want to be the next Stephen King tomorrow. And I think what I'm sharing with you is I think that you want to build a pipeline to become the Stephen King. But Stephen King, listen, he wrote his first book. Carrie hated it, threw it in the trash, and his wife picked it up and said, no, this is good, and rearranged it. So 2 things that Stephen King did. Number 1, he realized that he wasn't writing a book. He was becoming an author, but he also had a community around him to support him. If his wife didn't pull that out of the trash, we never would have had a Stephen King.
Hold on. You said something, though, I'm intrigued by. He wasn't, I love this. Dude, I'm loving this. Yeah. He wasn't writing a book. He was becoming an author.
Exactly.
There's a difference there.
Yeah, well, it's huge, right? And I think that's what's important. Is like I didn't write. I don't write books because I want to become whoever. I write books because the craft of writing books is what I care about. So I want to keep getting the chance to write books in that way and get better and better and better at it. I think the important thing to know about Mr. Beast, like you say, I want to be Mr. Beast. But Mr. Beast didn't become Mr. Beast on his first video.
Exactly.
Most people give up too
yes.
long. I mean, it took him several years of just honing until he had any videos go viral. Same thing with most people is I think they just quit too fast.
Well,
I think that's what a lot of it is.
We're going into our second year of this, and I'll tell you,
exactly.
It's just now where people are like, because when I showed up a year ago, people are like, what the fuck are you doing, man? But now, the second year in, they're like, and you know what's going to happen, Eric, is that in a couple of years from now, it's going to be overnight success.
Totally.
But they didn't see all the authoring going on behind the scenes. Exactly. But I love your statement because I've heard a lot of guys on this show, Eric Koester, they're like, I wrote a book, but nobody says that they're an author.
Yeah.
And I love that when you said, because that's like saying you're a songwriter or you're a hit maker, right? It's like, no, my craft is writing songs.
The craft, right? It's so much about the craft in these days. And I think, and that's what it is. If you care about the craft, you hone the craft over time. But I mean, it's like, even if you look at some of the best singers and songwriters today, right? Like when you look at like Taylor Swift and Beyonce, if you look at all the songs they put out, like only 10 or 15% of them become hits, right? That doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that that's what it takes. It takes lots and lots of reps, lots of at-bats and those things. And so I think that's the key thing. You should dream big, but you should also execute small and continue to execute over time. That's what I think is important about authorship, writing, creating, whatever it is. Is James Clear rightly says, we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And so have a goal to be Stephen King, but build systems so you can get there, right? That's the big thing that people miss on.
Love that, Eric Koester. Eric, how do you keep 95% of your authors on time? Like, honest to God, like I was doing some reading here and you're like, you actually keep 95% of your authors on time at delivering the book. That's wild, dude. Like, how do you do that?
It's super simple. I mean, so I'll tell you what the principles are based on. I know it's really funny to say, but I'm going to give you the phrase that I think matters more than anything in today's world. If you want to do a project that you finish that's meaningful along the way, compassionate rigor. Compassionate rigor. The key thing that I think people need is they need both. They need rigor. They need structure. They need things behind it. So like, there's a rigor here. Like it is 5 months. You're going to work with an architect for sort of 6 weeks. Then you're going to work with a developmental editor. Like we know you're going to meet every week with those things. So there is rigor. There's a system here behind it. But the compassion is you need humans to guide you, support you, pull you through it. Creation is sort of emotional. And so you're going to have moments where you feel like a failure. You're going to have moments where you have doubts, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So if you want to do anything, the maximum system today that every creator I've ever met in the world, from Mr. Beast all the way to the first time person sort of author, compassion, you have people around you who give you compassion, and rigor. You have systems that hold yourself and others accountable to it. You do that, you can do anything, but you have to do those things. Compassion, to have people who say, you can get through this, I can help you, we're going to do it. And rigor, to know what the system is you need to get through.
Wow. You're with Keith and Eric, Mornings and Alive with Keith and Friends. Jimmy, great. Dude, great conversation here. Jimmy, we got two guests here today. Two guests just dropping nuggets left and right. Eric Koester, the author, the professor of books, the book professor. He went from being the professor to the book professor. Eric, I got some quick hits for you, brothers. We work towards wrapping up our chat here right now. Some rapid fires coming at you, brother. Favorite author of all time?
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to actually go with Tolkien. I really do. I think like there's something special there. I think C.S. Lewis is another one that I really, really dig. I remember growing up reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it really kind of changed my whole worldview. And I will say my favorite My favorite sort of nonfiction book that I really, really like of all time, I really, really like the book, oh gosh, why am I blanking on it? Oh, Built to Last by Jim Collins. So I love that Good to Great, Built to Last books by Jim Collins. Those are two different extremes there.
I'm a fan of that as well. Hey, quickly, why do you think Tolkien is so awesome? What is it for you?
I think, so it's funny, all those people of that time, they were part of a community of folks. So they all knew each other. And actually, like, that's why I think they were so great, is because they had people all around them. So Lewis and Tolkien, they all were part of a writer's group. So I tell you, like, I actually think that that's the biggest thing. So what makes people really great today is they usually have a community of peers who elevate their game. And that is a lot of what it is. Yeah. Yeah, we got Adam Holroyd, our OG member in the community here. I loved all of C.S. Lewis's books. That's some great stuff there. Yeah, I enjoy Tolkien as well, man. I love the detail. I love there's so many layers to it, which is so exciting. Most underrated writing advice, Eric Koester. Ooh, so I'll tell you this. I think that actually people, the writing advice I think gets most wrong here is you have to write every day. So many authors like Stephen King will say, write every day. I get up and write every day. I think that's a privileged place to be at if you're a professional writer. What I would tell you is my most piece of advice is you have to write every week. And so put time on the calendar to every week, create content and create it. But I don't necessarily think you have to write every day to become an author. I do think you have to write every week. If you get breaks longer than that, I don't think it'll work, but write every week. My advice, put time on your calendar every week that's writing and do it every week, and you'll be able to be pretty prolific. Wonderful. Best part of the book writing journey? I think when someone emails you that you've never met before and says that their book motivated them or moved them or one way or the other. So that was the biggest thing. Like the other day I get a message from someone I've never met before, and their daughters had read Pennymore's, the book, and they sent me a photo of their daughters had taken their Legos and dressed them up as the Pennymore's characters, and he sent me a photo. They're playing Pennymore's with their Legos. Awesome. That's crazy. Awesome. Yeah. Eric, what would your book title be if it had to include your biggest failure? Ooh, I think probably what I would sort of say is sort of like ego. You lose with ego is probably what it would be. I think whenever I've done things for ego over generosity, I lose. So you lose with ego would probably be it. You lose with ego. Wow. Yep. Coffee shop writing or silent cabin? I like writing on walks, actually. So I think that I would say I'd go to the cabin, but I would go out and I like to plink away on my phone when I'm sort of walking. That's when I get my best stuff, my best notes and those things. So I would say in the cabin, but I'm going out walking around and then bringing those notes back and crushing on it. I'll tell you actually one of the funniest things. One of the best things that I've seen out there for aspiring authors, and it's a true story. Yeah. One of the places that people do a lot is they actually get a lot of writing when they're on planes. So you get on a plane, you're stuck there, you can't do other stuff. You can turn off the Wi-Fi and do it. That is how actually Start With Why, Simon Sinek wrote all of it. He actually got to the point where he would buy a round trip day-long ticket. He would fly from the East Coast to the West Coast, write for 4 hours, get off, charge his laptop, get back on and fly back. And that's how he wrote all of Start With Why. True story. No shit, Sherlock. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. There's a book right there. Like there's a book right there about the guy who did that. That's awesome, man. Eric, if someone finishes your program and becomes a published author, but only remembers one lesson from Eric Koester, what do you hope it is? Stories run our world. And so if you can't tell stories, you can't move people. And so I think a lot of times people forget that it's not about giving details and advice, but in a great nonfiction book today, 70 to 80% of your book will be story driven. And so we don't care about your advice. We don't care about your details, your prose, your prescription, but we do care about your stories. And so if nothing else, learn to become a better storyteller. And that's how you can unlock the world. And in a world of AI and generative AI, personal stories are more powerful than ever, aren't they, Eric? Absolutely. Yeah. And if you, and what I'll tell you too, is most people are not natural storytellers. Only about 5% of people are natural storytellers. It's a learned skill. So you have to understand, try it, practice it. But there really, really are architecture to great stories. And I would say that's why read fiction, read kids' books, all that kind of stuff, because you'll understand the architecture of what it takes, what the arcs are, what the outcomes are, how you actually move people. But there is a science to story. If you want a great book on this one, I'll put my one book recommendation, Lisa Cron's book, Wired for Story. mind-blowing. Talks about the neuroscience of story and why humans are wired for story. We just don't always realize it.
Awesome. This guy calls himself the book professor, and he's been here for the last 20 minutes or so with me, but he's here not messing around. He's the founder of Manuscripts, a Georgetown professor, and the man behind over 2,500 published authors. We just had an exceptionally awesome conversation with Eric Koester. He's on a mission to help ambitious people finally cross the write a book off the bucket list. Talk about creating. He's got the track record to back it up, I should say. Eric, dude, I've really enjoyed you on the show here today, man. You've dropped nugget after nugget after nugget. Where can folks find you, connect with you, engage with you, do some business with Eric Koester?
I mean, listen, I'm out there all over the place. I would sort of say if you want anything help with behind it, if you want to figure out if you got a book worth writing, just reach out to me. I mean, like, listen, we're a social venture B corporation. We spun this out of Georgetown. Our mission is to do that one. So we really do think that the most important thing is you should have a conversation to help someone figure out where they're going to go, how they're going to do it. And so I will tell you, if it's on your list, don't say I'm going to write a book. I want to figure out if I can be an author. And that's the biggest thing behind it. So I'm on LinkedIn. I've got a podcast. I got YouTube, but just reach out personally. And anyone that wants listening to your show that wants a copy of my recent book, Super Mentors, email me, reach out to me, and I'd love to send you a signed copy of it. I think that way you can sort of see a little bit of why I believe collaboration and projects are the future of happiness, well-being, and wealth, frankly.
You've changed my point of view, Eric, on the idea of writing a book to becoming an author. I like that. I like how you've shifted for me. Good. Because I don't know if I ever want to write a book, but I'm curious one day about becoming an author, because then that allows me to create my craft. And maybe it's about the experience I'm creating right now. I don't know, but I really love what you've taught me today, man. I've really thoroughly enjoyed that. We've got some comments coming from the community before you leave. Matthew Roof coming in with, you lose with ego. Yes, you got to make it something other than yourself, and you will find the wins. And Bernard comes in with Be-Driven Equipment. He says, he's 100% correct. Being you, Eric, you need to be very good at storytelling. And authenticity is your story is the most important. And Bernard comes back with saying, Eric Koester is very well spoken. I agree, dude. You've been fucking nugget after nugget after nugget. My bucket is full.
You're a good interviewer, Keith. I'll tell you, not everyone's quick and fast. I mean, I talk fast, you talk fast. I think we go. So I think there's an energy and a vibe. I can tell you there is something about being a good interviewer that makes for a good interviewee. So I greatly appreciate your work, your craft, my friend. So the craft is something that's noticed. And I will tell you, I love the fact that you're doing the craft and you're getting better at the craft. I can't wait for you to look back at the show from 2 years ago and realize how much that guy would never recognize the guy you are today. But that's because you care about craft.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I do today. I look back at stuff. I'm like, wow, we've come a long ways. And, but I've taken that. The idea of craft. I'm really leaning into that, man. I really am, because that is so meaningful today, because that's what it is. And because I'm a cannabis guy and I love craft cannabis because I love the art that goes into it, like the care that goes into it. So when you talk about being an author, I love that, because when I hear author now, I hear a crafter. If you're an author, you're crafting your words. I love communicating. So the idea of crafting good communications, you can tell, I love it. So thank you for teaching me that today, brother.
I'm here for it.
Awesome. Eric, I look forward to catching up with you later today over coffee. Have an awesome day, and we'll keep getting after it. Okay, pal?
Sounds good. Be well.
All right, you too. All right, Jimmy, let's get Eric out of here. Let's keep the show. We're going to wrap up here in the community corner. Woo, baby. Yeah, all right. Coming up at the top of the hour. Holy smokes, Jimmy. It's the top of the hour. I'm just telling you, man, this show is going to be at 3 hours before we know it. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends, getting back after it. Wrapping up here. Guest after guest after guest. Jack Reamer, you're doing a hell of a job, man, getting us great guests. Absolutely hell of a job getting us incredible guests into the lab. So grateful for that. All right, so now we're going to get into the segment of the show. It's going to sound a little bit like this. Smug AI takes, mental health moves, and a wake-up call for performers. All right, let's go. From calling out AI arrogance to challenging the too late mindset, these aren't just posts of the conversations that matter. Welcome to the Community Corner, where we connect LinkedIn and Substack on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show to help you guys get your ass out of bed. 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here on LinkedIn, over there on X, and over there on YouTube. Good morning, good time. Have a great day, brother. Great show. I agree. Be-driven equipment, the Michigan connoisseur. All right, Jimmy, let's start over on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, Jim. Shut up about AI. Some folks are still catching up. Hannah Clark is tired of the smug tone around AI adoption on LinkedIn. You've seen it. Posts implying that if you're not mastering AI right now, you're falling behind, or worse, you're irrelevant. Her response, shut up. Shut your mouth. She's not anti-AI. She's anti-condescension. She's calling out the folks who use early adoption as a badge of superiority, forgetting that everyone had the same access, training, or support. She says what a lot of people are thinking: we can push innovation without mocking the people who are still learning. Do you agree with her? And how do we encourage growth without turning progress into a pecking order? Love to hear your comments, you guys. What's up, Adam? Dude, thank you, brother. Yeah, I'm thank you. Digging the tunes. I like the Community Corner music. Adam, I'm trying to make the show better, brother. Every single day, we're trying to make the show better with great content, great conversation, and great music powered by Suno and Uncle Keith's brain. Yeah, there's a true story. All right, let's keep it going here, Jimmy. Number 2 on LinkedIn. Will you pass the parcel? You guys saw it earlier on in the show. Alex Beeching is bringing home some much-needed heart to the LinkedIn feed. Yep, he is. For Mental Health Awareness Month, he launched something called Pass the Parcel. One box, one message, many voices, and we did it here on the show. The idea, well, to send a single parcel around the world. Yeah, true story. From New York to London to Barcelona to Beijing, he's asking people to step up and take part, not to go viral, not to be clever, just to be human. I'm in. You saw it earlier. Matthew Roof is in. He's doing it too. Because connection isn't just about a talking point, you guys. It's the whole point. If you want to partake in this, and you want to see it unfold, I invite you to check us out happening on LinkedIn. That's what we're bringing it. Follow Alex on LinkedIn. He's got some great stuff. Alex Sheehan, awesome dude on LinkedIn. Go check it out. Be driven. Coming in with judging others is never productive, no matter how advanced you think you are at a skill. I got no time for the judgment, Bernard. No time at all. All right, Jimmy, let's go to when the robot voice picks up first. Yes, Josh Cohen started something simple but powerful. He shared this call from an unknown number, thinking it might be the HVAC guy. But all he heard was, all calls are recorded for quality assurance. No greeting, no warmth, just protocol. And it hit him. This is the new default. We're trading human connection for automation, even in the small moments like informing a client you're on your way. Now, Josh wasn't ranting. I'm going to rant, though. He was reflecting, wondering what we lose when the first voice we hear is a robot. What do you say? Have we gone too far? I'll tell you what I say. If somebody fucking calls me with a robot and somebody says, can you please hold because there's a robot on the phone? You know what I say? Fuck off. Call me back as a human. Come and embrace me as a human. You're going to call me and put me on hold? Yeah, we'll see you later, alligator. All right, it's not too late. You're just not sharing. No, it's not too late. You're just not starting. That's the message coming up on Substack. Jerry Kreska didn't start writing online until his 50s. I was just a young puppy. But that's not the story. The story is where he sees now. People in their 60s, people in their 70s, starting too. And they're not just dipping a toe in. They're publishing, they're building, they're owning their voice. His point? The clock isn't the problem. The hesitation is. Hey, you guys saw the post on LinkedIn. We posted it. There's some day on the calendar. We found it for you. So Jerry's message strips away the excuse we've all heard, or maybe we haven't heard, which is, what's holding you back? What are you really waiting for? Oh, I know. You're waiting for one day. You're waiting for some day. I'm telling you, I found it. Go check my LinkedIn profile. I posted it. You can go find it over there. It's someday on the calendar. True story. All right, let's keep it going, Jimmy. Next story, Substack story number 2. What did you do and what happened because of it? At some point, the story stopped working. The ones we tell ourselves to explain why things didn't get done. I was tired. It wasn't the right time. I didn't feel ready. Wow, Alex Peets cuts through all of it. He says, there's a moment when you stop explaining and you start evaluating. 2 questions. What did I do? And what happened because of it? That's the pivot, not into guilt, but into clarity. If you want motherfucking momentum, Jimmy, that's where it starts. No stories, just facts. What did you do? And what did it lead to? Are you writing a book or are you becoming an author? Ask yourself the question. If you're writing a book, you're putting your ego on stage. If you're becoming an author, you're creating a craft. What are you doing? Jimmy, who are you when the numbers fade? Who are you? Well, I'll tell you something. Allison from Not a Conversational Pace over on Substack writes about runfluencers. The runners who build a following around pace, PRs, and the daily grind. But what she's really asking is this. What happens when your performance dips? When the numbers slow, the miles drop, the results fade. If your identity is built only on output, what's left when life forces you to throttle down? Well, here in the lab, we care about performance deeply. But not as a mask, not as our only measure. Because if it all hinges on peak numbers, one injury is a setback. One life shift knocks everything loose. Allison's post is a reminder that real longevity means building a story deeper than your stats. So ask yourself this, nation. Ask yourself, are you chasing performance or are you building something that lasts? Are you writing a book or are you becoming an author? There's a difference, as we learned from our friend Eric Koester. Guys, these are the stories worth paying attention to. And fellas, if you want to make yourself part of this whole community corner experience, I invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and Substack and tag us in your next post. We'd love to feature the story live on Mornings in the Lab. That's what we do here on the community corner. Moving on over to the creator spotlight. Jimmy, I'm starting on Substack today. And we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Look at just Uncle Keith doing the tunes around, eh? Not too bad, if I may say so myself. Jimmy, I'm having trouble with the Substack words on the piece of paper here. Uncle Keith's eyes can't see them there, Jim. Maybe Jim, you can help me with them. What if Jimmy's just frantically, oh shit. Jimmy, what if your Lego collection was your retirement plan? Oh, I know about Lego. Actually, guys, I had a conversation with a Lego dude over on LinkedIn. Melissa, should I go there? I invited him to the show. Melissa, should I go there? No, we won't go there today. What if your Lego collection went? Jimmy, do you know the story about this one? Does Mornings in the Lab and Business Athlete Nation want to learn about my Lego story about the guests that I invited on the show? I love that I have a platform and nobody else does. I get to speak every single day. And I get to share my experiences with all of you, whether they're good, bad, or ridiculous. Oh yeah, that's a true fucking story too. But anyways, Jim, let's stay on this one. What if your Lego collection was your retirement plan? You spend your best years in meetings, your best energy on someone else's dream, for the hope that someday maybe you'll have time and money at the same time. Well, most people accept it, but one guy didn't. Nope. He walked away from a mechanical engineering degree before finishing freshman year. He worked at a car wash while building a textbook arbitrage hustle on Amazon. Failed multiple businesses. Took an aerospace engineering job just long enough to fund his exit. Then he bet on himself again. What started as a way out became a playbook for others. He started buying assets no one else was talking about. Lego sets, Pokemon boxes, e-com businesses. Now, he documents everything, wins, losses, income, and strategies, so others can do it too, including buying Lego. Built and sold a successful business online, investing in collectibles with multi-year triple-digit ROI, writes one of the smartest Substack on alternative investing. The founder of Dyad, aiming for a $10 million solo portfolio. Jimmy, the guy we're celebrating today over on Substack, his name coming up. His name is Jarek Lewis. And the introvert entrepreneur is the roadmap he wished he had. If you're tired of pretending your 9-to-5 is the dream and you're ready to build a portfolio that works, well, listen, go read what Jarek's writing. True story. You got to go read it, you guys. You got to go read The Introvert Entrepreneur. It's the roadmap that you will need from Jarek Lewis. And Jarek, here's how it works, brother. We're celebrating you today in the Creator Spotlight. We'd love to have you on the show now. I'd like to give you the light so you can shine on somebody in your world, maybe who builds Lego too, and you can have them on our show and celebrate them as part of the next Community Corner Creator Spotlight on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Okay, let's keep it going here, guys. I'm looking at the clock, Jimmy. We're working its way down here. Our next one's coming to us on the LinkedIn side of things. And if you are a top performer in corporate, here's what no one tells you. The better you are at your job, the harder it becomes to leave it. Yep. That's what you're doing. You've earned the perks, you're the provider, you're too senior to walk away, so you just don't. Instead, you trade time with your kids for another project sprint. You push purpose to someday. You know that day on the calendar we talked about earlier. And you try to make peace with, fine, until one day you can't. Well, that was the moment this creator decided that corporate wouldn't own him. It would fund his exit. This guy didn't rage quit. He built leverage. He cut his hours in half, kept the paycheck, and used the space to build a business around his genius. Now he teaches others to do the same. Not to escape responsibility, but to redefine it. This guy left corporate forever, Jimmy, in March of 2022. Invested $150K in mentorship to create a proven system. He built corporate graduation to serve high-performing professionals. He helped over 125 students design purpose-driven exits. Guys, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is excited to introduce you to. This morning, we're going to meet Matt Doan, the founder of Corporate Graduation and the host of Uncage Yourself. He helps senior leaders stop sleepwalking through success and start building lives that they can actually feel. This isn't about becoming an influencer. It's about building income, identity, and independence on your terms. Nothing wrong with becoming an influencer if that's what you want to become, guys. Just saying, just saying, Matt, I'm becoming an influencer at 53. Yeah, at least I think I am. If you've done everything right, but you still feel stuck inside the life it brought you, I invite you to check out Matt, because Matt built the bridge out. Follow him, learn from him, learn the system, graduate on your terms before burnout makes the choice for you. And Matt, here's how it works, brother. Here is how it works. Matt Doan, the founder of Corporate Graduation and the host of Uncage Yourself, would love to have you on this show. Would love to give you the Mornings in the Lab spotlight, the big old creator spotlight, so you can shine it on somebody in your orbit and keep passing it forward. Keep passing the celebration and the positive energy of the creator spotlight on the Mornings in the Lab Community Corner. Okay, Jimmy. Woo, baby. Another big one. Big sigh. Big sigh. All right, my friend. Well, I think we're going to start winding it down here. It's about time to wind up the show here. Guys, listen. Just a reminder. This free show gets aftered every single day here at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. Just recently rolled out some paid membership options. $3, $10, $20, I think it is, over on the channel. We got the store dropping here soon. Jimmy was working on it last night before bed. Maybe some hats, some t-shirts that say True Story. Maybe some hats that say Mornings in the Lab on them. I don't know. Just making some fun stuff. Tomorrow we got Joe Cotroni joining us. I believe in remote work, and here's why you should too. We're talking about that. Guys, we didn't talk at all today about ditching toxic productivity. Jimmy, True Story. Kind of forgot that it was on the agenda today, but I'm sure that's okay. So tomorrow we're going to get after it with Joe Cotrone. It's Friday tomorrow, so I've kept it light. One guest, a lot of fun, a lot of humor, and a conversation with Keith and Johnny and our guest, Joe Cotrone. So on behalf of the entire crew, Be Driven, Adam Holroyd, Lady Drew, Lauren, Johnny, Marty, Matthew Roof, and the gang, we're going to get out of here. We're going to see you guys tomorrow at 8 o'clock right here on YouTube, over there on YouTube, over there on YouTube, over there on LinkedIn, over there on X, over there on Substack. You know where to find us, guys. 8 o'clock. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Jimmy, let's get out of here, pal.